Chapter 392. To train in seclusion. Ning Qi handed over the 20 lower spiritual crystals and opened the dragon list to take a look. He found that there were 100 pages in total, and every page had a name. Some were very detailed, and even had their family and skills recorded. Some only had a name and a few simple descriptions. First on the dragon ranking, Huang Guli, the 37th son of the tribe leader of the ancient desolate dragon tribe. He is 13 years old and is at the peak of the Do Huang class, the 9th life and death barrier. He has not been defeated in his 3 years of existence. Second on the dragon ranking, Huang Gu Shao, the 26th son of the clan head of the ancient desolate dragon tribe, 18 years old, peak of the Do Huang stage, 9th life and death barrier. The top 30 of the dragon rankings were basically occupied by the 3 great dragon clans. Other than the desolate ancient dragon clan, there were also the giant ancient dragon clan and the ancient heaven dragon clan. Although Ning Qi was arrogant, he also knew that he was far from being a match for a strong person of this level. Unless he stepped into the peak of the Do Huang class, he might have the ability to fight. Fortunately, the system's advancement mission only required him to enter the top 100. The 100th on the dragon ranking, Fong Mo. He is the grandson of the first elder of the Fong clan, one of the 9 top clans. He is 15 years old and has passed the first life and death test at the peak of the Do Huang class. His cultivation is about the same as Zhu Rong's. However, as someone on the dragon ranking, his actual fighting strength should be enough to crush Zhu Rong. I estimate that he is equivalent to a Do Huang at the 3rd or 4th stage of the life and death test. My cultivation seems to be a little lacking. Looks like I need to enter the training grounds during this period of time and increase the familiarity of my 18 dragon subduing palms and skyline bright moonblade. Ning Qi pondered for a moment before leaving the mission hall. When he returned to the courtyard, Shintu Yuanba seemed to have gone out to do a mission again. In the huge courtyard there was only Ning Qi. Just as he bought the low-level cultivation training ground and was about to enter to cultivate, someone knocked on the door. Ning Qi opened the door and was a little surprised. Duan Feifei? Duan Feifei was standing at the door. When she saw Ning Qi, she was pleasantly surprised. Then, she said anxiously, Duan Ingjun was framed. I know. Ning Qi nodded. You know? Duan Feifei's eyes flashed with a trace of doubt before she anxiously said, Senior Brother Ning, can you use your relationship with the Heavenly Secret Institute to help rescue Duan Ingjun? He was framed because of me. Oh? What's the situation? Come in and tell me. Ning Qi stepped aside. Duan Feifei hesitated for a moment before entering the courtyard. After the door was closed, Duan Tianying appeared not far away, his eyes fixed in this direction. That time, he almost died in the mouth of a demonic beast. If he hadn't broken through his acupuncture point at the critical moment and escaped, he would have become a pile of feces by now. Ning Qi is back. There's all the evidence. I'm going to take Duan Ingjuan's sh*t. No matter what you do, you won't be able to save him. Instead, you'll get yourself into trouble. That's good too, Duan Tianying sneered inwardly and turned to leave. Tell me what happened. Ning Qi and Duan Feifei arrived at the stone pavilion in the courtyard. It's like this, Duan Feifei recounted the sequence of events to him. It turned out that the Divine Dragon Marquis Palace had sent a message a while ago, asking Duan Feifei to go back and help the family complete a mission. In the end, Duan Feifei had just accepted a mission from the Cloud Rising sect and had to complete it within a certain amount of time. Otherwise, it would be considered a failure and he wouldn't have the time to go back, so Duan Ingjun went back. This mission was very simple. It was a competition between a dozen or so clans. However, the disciples who participated in the competition had to be people who joined the various sections. At that time, the 2 disciples of the Heavenly Sword Marquis Mansion, Shiman Jing and Shiman He, also received the news and returned to the 9 States Empire to participate in the competition. Originally, this kind of competition was only held when the elders of the clan were in the mood. There wouldn't be any danger, and that was the truth. In the end, Duan Injun even obtained a rather high ranking for the Divine Dragon Marquis Mansion. At this time, he should have returned to the Cloud Rising sect. However, not long after, Duan Feifei received the news that Duan Injun had been suppressed. The one who suppressed him was an elder of the Divine Dragon Marquis Mansion, and the reason was that he had raped his big brother's wife. That's what happened. If Duan Injun hadn't gone back in my place, this wouldn't have happened. I know his personality, he definitely doesn't have the guts. Duan Feifei said. I understand. Fatty's life isn't in danger right now. I still have something to do. After I finish this, I'll go to the 9 States Empire to take a look. As Ning Qi spoke, he stood up, obviously intending to send his guest off. Seeing this, Duan Feifei looked at Ning Qi in surprise. Then, a trace of disappointment flashed across her eyes, and her tone became a little calmer. Then, I'll disturb senior brother Ning. With that, she turned around and left. I didn't expect him to be such a person. To think that Duan Injun treated him as a close friend. He's really blind. Duan Feifei thought to herself. From her point of view, what Ning Qi had said just now was just polite words. He had already tactfully rejected her request. Ning Qi had also discovered something from Duan Feifei's expression just now. However, he did not say it out loud. Duan Injun was only suppressed, and his life was not in danger. Ning Qi naturally planned to wait until he completed the advancement mission and became a Do King. At that time, he would go to the Divine Dragon Marquis Mansion to see if he could fish Duan Injun out. Back in the house. Enter the low-level training ground. Ning Qi muttered in his heart. This time, he spent a total of 2,000 dragon-slaying coins to buy 20 days of time. He planned to raise the 18 dragon subduing palms by another level in one go and reach the 6th level. After staying inside for nearly 2 years, Ning Qi took a look at his own attribute. Host, Ning Qi. Level, Peak Do Wang. Experience points, 0/1200000. Stored experience points, 185,000. Cultivation method, Dragon Elephant Prajna Technique Level 4, 28654/1000000. Martial Skill, 18 Dragon Subduing Palms Level 5, 723100/1000000. Top Grade Profound Rank 5 Tiger Breaking Gate Blade Level 4, 7700/1000000. Low Grade Heaven Rank Martial Skill, Sky Edge Bright Moon Blade Level 1, 76 out of 100. Health Points, 213450. Alchemy, Rank 4 Alchemist Proficiency Points, 345000/1000000. Dragon Slaying Coins, 70,000. The proficiency of the 18 dragon subduing palms is still a bit lacking. I still have to practice it. There's also the Sky Edge Bright Moon Blade. Ning Qi muttered to himself. He gritted his teeth and bought another 20 days of low-level training ground. He once again disappeared from the room. When he reappeared, the aura on his body had changed slightly. This time, he had already raised the proficiency of the 18 dragon subduing palms to the 6th level. The power had increased by 3 to 4 times. There was also the Sky Edge Bright Moon Blade level, which he had trained to the same level as the 5 Tiger Breaking Gate Blade Level 4. Chapter 393. Towards the Sacred Square Palace Creek. The door opened slowly. Duan Feifei saw Ning Qi walk out. She stared at Ning Qi without blinking, as if she wanted to make him feel ashamed. Ning Qi smiled at her and didn't say anything. He rose into the air and flew out of the sect. Feifei, don't tell me you still want to save that beast, Duan Injun? He even dared to touch his sister-in-law. Duan Tianying had appeared beside Duan Feifei out of nowhere with a mocking smile on his face. Duan Feifei looked at him with disgust. What I do is none of your business. Duan Yingjun is not that kind of person. He was wronged. Wronged? What a joke. So many people saw him rape his sister-in-law like a madman. There were even elders present. Do you think the elders are blind? Moreover, they investigated and found out that Duan Yingjun was not poisoned. Tell me, if this kind of person is not a beast, then what is he? Duan Tianying said angrily. In short, he was wronged. Duan Feifei said coldly and turned to leave. At this moment, Duan Tianying grabbed Duan Feifei's arm and said in a low voice, Feifei, you and I are childhood friends. Do we really have to go this far? Last time, I did not know that Li Dongshui would do that to you. However, you were not injured, were you? Li Dongshui's cultivation was also destroyed. Now, he is like a cripple and has become a servant disciple. If you want to vent your anger, I can take you to him every day. You let go. Duan Feifei's eyes became extremely cold. Duan Tianying wanted to say more, but suddenly, an arm was placed on his shoulder. He immediately felt a piercing pain and almost knelt down. Senior Sister Tai Bing. Duan Feifei breathed a sigh of relief and smiled at the person who came. Tai Bing nodded and looked at Duan Tianying. You want to bully a female disciple in the outer sect in broad daylight? No, I wouldn't dare. Duan Tianying put on a fake smile and stood up to leave while enduring the pain. The moment he turned around, his eyes revealed a bone-piercing coldness. If he gives you trouble in the future, just come and tell me. Tai Bing calmly said to Duan Feifei. Duan Feifei said, Thank you, Senior Sister Tai Bing. Fong Saint Palace. Ning Qi sat on Little Purple's back. It took them more than half a month to reach the outskirts of the sacred palace. Looking at the huge, towering walls in the distance, he couldn't help but sigh. What a magnificent city! Brother, you think so too, right? The Fong clan is indeed one of the top 9 clans. Even if ordinary dragons were to pass by this Fong Saint Palace, they would have to take a detour. A young man walked to Ning Qi's side and said with a smile. Ning Qi was currently in a small town near the sacred Fong Palace. There were many people coming and going. Along the way, he saw countless Do Wangs and Do Huangs. All of them wanted to enter the sacred Fong Palace. You are? Ning Qi looked at the young man with a faint smile on his face. Oh, I almost forgot to introduce myself. My name is Xielin Jiaqiang. Xielin is the surname of my parents. I am a wandering swordsman. I came here just like you. I want to see if I can get a job in the sacred Fong Palace. If I can learn a move or two, it will be worth it. Xielin Jiaqiang said with a smile. Brother Xielin, my name is Ning Qi. Ning Qi smiled and nodded. Xielin Jiaqiang didn't know why, but he seemed to have endless things to say. He pulled Ning Qi and kept talking about what he had seen in the past 3 or 4 months. For example, someone had a duel with someone and was hacked to death with a single slash. Someone had been chosen by the Fong clan in the sacred Fong Palace and taken away as a guard. In the end, when he realized that Ning Qi had been smiling without saying anything, a flash of embarrassment appeared on his face. He said, Sorry, did I disturb you? No. Ning Qi smiled. After a pause, he continued, Brother Xielin, if you want to enter the sacred Fong Palace so badly, why don't you go in yourself? Wouldn't you have a better chance? Xielin Jiaqiang looked at Ning Qi in surprise. Brother Ning, you don't know? Know what? Ning Qi frowned. Without a special invitation, people like us don't have the right to enter the sacred Fong Palace. Only fighting grandmasters can enter after paying 100 middle spiritual crystals. If an ordinary person wants to enter, they have to pay 1,000 middle spiritual crystals, which is equivalent to 100,000 lower spiritual crystals. How can people like you and I have so many spiritual crystals? Therefore, there are some people who kill people like you who have just arrived in order to collect enough spiritual crystals. Xie Linjiaqiang said. I see. Thank you, Brother Lin, for answering my question. Ning Qi smiled. At the same time, he couldn't help but think that the Fong clan was really robbing people. Fighting grandmasters had to pay 100 middle spiritual crystals, which was a huge amount for fighting grandmasters. Those below fighting grandmasters had to pay 10 times the amount. Even the inner sanctum disciples of the Cloud Rising clan couldn't take out so many spiritual crystals, let alone a rogue cultivator like Xie Linjiaqiang. At this time, a few people nearby glanced at Ning Qi and Xie Linjiaqiang before turning to leave. Ning Qi could clearly feel Xie Linjiaqiang heave a sigh of relief. Brother Ning, you were just targeted by someone. Xie Linjiaqiang smiled bitterly. He then explained in a low voice. It turned out that he had purposely chatted with Ning Qi and pretended to be familiar with him so that the people who were targeting Ning Qi would give up on the idea of robbing him. Ning Qi couldn't help but look at Xie Linjiaqiang and smiled. If that's the case, thank you, Brother Lin. You're welcome. I just found you pleasing to the eye. Xie Linjiaqiang smiled. He then reminded Ning Qi about the rules of this place and was about to leave. Just as he turned around and took 3 steps, Ning Qi's voice suddenly rang in his ear. Brother Xie Linjiaqiang, do you want to go to the Holy Palace with me? Xie Linjiaqiang's movements paused. He slowly turned around and looked at Ning Qi in surprise. Brother Ning, what did you just say? Do you want to go to the Holy Palace with me? Ning Qi smiled at him. Do you have an invitation? Xie Linjiaqiang's face was filled with joy. However, he then said with disappointment, even if you have an invitation, you can only go in alone. Let's go. Just follow me. Ning Qi didn't explain much and walked past Xie Linjiaqiang with a smile. Xie Linjiaqiang looked at Ning Qi's back and a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. Was he teasing him? Impossible. I just saved him once. Chapter 394. Enlistment. The two of them came to the front of the Holy Palace. Ning Qi looked up and still could not see the end of the city wall. In front of them there was a huge city gate. The gate was wide open. Occasionally there would be people walking out from the inside and in from the outside. When these people walked past Ning Qi and Xie Linjiaqiang, they all looked at them with disdain. There were countless small towns nearby. The nearest town was only 200 feet away from the city gate. When the people in the town saw people coming out, they were excited and looked at them expectantly. When they saw people going in, they were envious and wished that they were that person. Beside the city gate stood 2 expressionless soldiers. Their eyes were looking straight ahead and their bodies were motionless like statues. However, the aura they gave off was terrifying. Using a fighting grandmaster to guard the gate. How extravagant, Ning Qi sighed in his heart. Then, Ning Qi walked towards the city gate. Xie Linjiaqiang saw this and was stunned. He gritted his teeth and followed. Who are those 2 fellows? I think I've seen one of them before. He's been here for a few months. He's a lone cultivator. What do they want? To enter the Holy Palace? Could it be that they can't help but want to plead with the 2 seniors guarding the city? What's so strange about this? Isn't it like this every time new people come? In the nearby town, everyone looked at Ning Qi and Xie Linjiaqiang gloatingly. Stop. The soldiers guarding the city looked at Ning Qi and Xie Linjiaqiang coldly. We want to enter the city. Ning Qi smiled faintly. Enter the city? One of the soldiers had a mocking expression on his face as he scanned Ning Qi from head to toe. Whose invitation do you have? I don't have one. Ning Qi smiled. Xie Linjiaqiang's expression changed and he laughed bitterly. Why did he follow Ning Qi here? Thinking of this, he whispered, Brother Ning, let's go? Ning Qi ignored him. He looked at the soldier and said, 1,000 middle spiritual crystals, and you can enter the city, right? Yes. A sliver of suspicion flashed through the eyes of the 2 soldiers when they heard this. Could it be that Ning Qi was from some great clan? What? Does Brother Ning actually intend to enter the city like this? Does he really have so many spirit crystals? A trace of shock flashed across Xie Linjiaqiang's eyes. If he had so many spiritual crystals, what was the point of going to the Holy Palace? It was better to just buy cultivation resources. Even if he entered the Fang Saint Palace, he might not be able to gain the favor of the Fang clan. He was deeply puzzled. If you have 1,000 middle spiritual crystals, you can indeed enter the city. Just put the spiritual crystals on it. One of the soldiers pointed at a stone statue next to the city wall. This stone statue was of a lion with a disc on its head. Seeing this, Ning Qi smiled and walked to the side of the lion statue. Then, he took out handfuls of medium spiritual crystals from the space bag. Each handful contained exactly 100 pieces. After taking out 20 handfuls, Ning Qi smiled at the two and said, "Do you want to count them?" The two soldiers looked at each other. One of them walked to the side of the round plate and counted it. Sure enough, there were middle spiritual crystals and the amount was exactly 2,000. Just in time. The two of you can enter the city now. He looked at Ning Qi and a trace of surprise flashed across his eyes. He was secretly guessing Ning Qi's background. Even he might not be able to take out so many middle spiritual crystals at once. Xie Linjiaqiang looked at the spiritual crystals and took a deep breath. He looked at Ning Qi in disbelief. He only reacted when Ning Qi called out to him. He quickly followed Ning Qi into the Holy Palace in ecstasy. At this time, the people in the nearby towns who had wanted to laugh at the two of them were dumbfounded. 3 of them had regretful expressions on their faces. Damn it, he actually has so many spiritual crystals. If I had known, I would have done it earlier. It's all Xie Linjiaqiang's fault. We thought it was his friend, so we gave up on this fat sheep. I don't know how long we'll have to wait to meet such a fat sheep with such a low cultivation. We've been here for more than a year, and we've only managed to collect 700 to 800 middle spiritual crystals. It's not even enough for one person to enter the city. As the 3 of them spoke, they sighed heavily. After entering the city, Xie Linjiaqiang looked around curiously. He was excited as if he was dreaming. He never thought that he would be able to follow Ning Qi into the real Holy Palace so easily. Brother Xie Linjiaqiang, what do you plan to do next? Ning Qi smiled. Well, I don't know what I plan to do at the moment. I want to go to the Fang family and ask them if they accept people. Brother Ning, do you want to come with me? The Fang family? Ning Qi smiled and nodded. He said, "All right, I'll go with you." The Holy Palace was divided into the outer city and the inner city. Most of the people living in the outer city were from the Fang family. There were an estimated 300,000 to 400,000 people, and 10,000 to 20,000 of them were outsiders. The inner city was where the true elites of the Fang family resided. Usually, the top family, the Fang family, referred to the inner city of the Holy Palace. There were no obstacles in entering the inner city. However, there was a rule. When the sky turned dark, one had to return to the outer city. Otherwise, they would be expelled from the Holy Palace. For the time being, no one dared to break this rule. On the way from the outer city to the inner city, Ning Qi finally understood why people from the outside wanted to enter the inner city. Any elixir here was several times more expensive than the outside world. On the other hand, it also meant that the salary here was high. For example, if a peddler sold the same elixir, he could only earn 300 to 400 lower spiritual crystals. However, in the Holy Palace, he could earn more than 1,500, and sometimes even 2,000. The people in the inner city of the Fang family were even more generous. One tip from them was a spiritual crystal that an ordinary person would not be able to earn in a few years outside. In the inner city. Brother Ning. That should be the Fang family. Xie Linjiaqiang pointed to a magnificent house not far away and said excitedly. At the door of the house, there seemed to be a recruitment drive. There was a long queue of about 300 to 400 people. Xie Linjiaqiang quickly pulled Ning Qi and ran over to the queue. Ning Qi did not say anything and joined the queue with him. There were people in front who left dejectedly, while there were people who entered the house happily. There were people who came to join the queue. Just like that, when it was Xie Linjiaqiang and Ning Qi's turn, an old man who seemed to be an elder of the Fong family looked at them calmly. "What are you applying for?" "Servants. To challenge Fong Mo." Chapter 395. Chapter 395. The Devil's Palm. Brother Ning, you Xie Linjiaqiang looked at Ning Qi in shock and instinctively took a few steps back, distancing himself from Ning Qi. The guys at the back of the line all gasped in shock. Where did this lunatic come from? He wanted to challenge Fong Mo? Fong Mo was ranked 100th on the Dragon Roll. When he broke through to the Grandmaster Do, he would probably enter the ranking of young masters. In the Fong family, Fong Mo's status was not low. Among his peers, there were few who were stronger than him. Even if their cultivation was higher than his, their aptitude was weaker than his, and they did not even enter the Dragon Roll. This guy, who was only at the peak of the King Do, wanted to challenge a peak Do Huang who had entered the first stage of life and death. This was unheard of. If he wanted to die, wouldn't it be faster to challenge a member of the dragon race? In an instant, everyone distanced themselves from Ning Qi. Some were shocked, some were amused, and some were mocking him. Fong Ku was the most insignificant elder in the Fong family. He was a servant elder. As his name suggested, he was in charge of the servants who entered the Fong family to work. However, he was also a 4-star Do Huang, so he could see through Ning Qi's cultivation at a glance. Fong Ku looked at Ning Qi and said, "I didn't hear what you just said. Say it again." "No, don't say it." Xie Linjiaqiang looked at Ning Qi and prayed in his heart. He winked at Ning Qi. "I want to challenge Fong Mo." Ning Qi smiled. He still said it. Xie Linjiaqiang's eyes revealed a trace of sadness. Only now did he realize that Ning Qi was a lunatic. Yes, if he is not a lunatic, why would he help me pay 1,000 medium spiritual crystals? To put it bluntly, he is not my father. Even my father wouldn't give me such a huge inheritance. Xie Linjiaqiang smiled bitterly in his heart. This guy is dead. He wants to challenge Fong Mo. I think Elder Fong Ku will kill him directly. The people in the queue thought to themselves and looked at Ning Qi mockingly. Only a few people had a trace of pity in their eyes. Yet another guy who has gone crazy for fame. Pitiful, too pitiful. They sighed inwardly. Fong Ku looked at Ning Qi indifferently. Suddenly, he raised his hand and slapped Ning Qi's head with the force of 1,000 caddies. Clearly, he intended to kill Ning Qi on the spot. The corners of Ning Qi's mouth lifted slightly. 18 dragons subduing palms. 6 silver dragons burst out of his body, roaring as they charged towards Fong Ku. Boom! Fong Ku only felt a huge force pass through his palm. In an instant, he seemed to hear the sound of his own bones breaking. Then, he flew backwards and landed heavily on the ground. At this time, the huge force had not dissipated, causing him to roll a few more times on the ground until he hit a pair of feet. Only then did he stop. What happened? A big question mark rose above everyone's head as they stared at Ning Qi, dumbfounded. Where was Elder Fong Ku? At this moment, the slow-witted crowd finally reacted, and their faces were filled with horror. He had sent Elder Fong Ku flying with a single palm strike. That was a 4-star Do Huang, the errand service elder of the Fong clan. In the outside world, fighting a 5-star or 6-star Do Huang would be child's play. How could this be? Just who was this kid? So strong. Why is he so strong? Is he not crazy when he said he wanted to challenge Fong Mo? Xie Linjiaqiang stared at Ning Qi in shock, unable to control himself for a long time. What happened? A young man looked down at Fong Ku with a trace of doubt in his eyes. No one would dare to cause trouble in the Fong clan, so how did Fong Ku become like this? Fong Ku hurriedly flipped himself up from the ground. Only then did he realize that the bones in his arms had pierced through his flesh, but he still endured the intense pain and said in a low voice, "Young Master Bai, someone wants to challenge young Master Fong Mo. Challenge my brother?" A trace of surprise flashed across Fong Bai's face. He looked towards the main door and saw Ning Qi smiling at him from afar. A trace of coldness appeared in Fong Bai's eyes. He ignored Fong Ku and strode towards the main door. When he arrived in front of Ning Qi, he said in an indifferent voice, "Was it you who injured my elder?" "Should be." Ning Qi smiled and nodded. "Break both your arms and I will spare your life," Fong Bai said indifferently. His tone was indifferent, as if he was talking about something insignificant. Ning Qi glanced at Fong Bai and looked at his attribute. A trace of surprise flashed across his eyes. Fong Clan, Fong Bai level, Peak Emperor Realm Martial Arts, Lower Heaven level Vairocana Secret Martial Arts, Lower Heaven level Buddha's Palm Health Points, 395000. Both martial arts and martial arts were lower heaven level. This was the first time Ning Qi had seen someone like this. Even the saint concubine of Cold Sky and Dongfang, Hao Jie, only had upper earth level martial arts and martial arts. It was obvious that this person's status in the Fong clan was much higher than hers. "That's young Master Fong Bai. I've seen him before. He's young Master Fong Mo's younger brother. This guy is dead meat. Even if he can defeat Elder Fong Ku, how can he be a match for young Master Fong Bai? He's in the top 200 of the dragon ranking." The people in the queue looked at Ning Qi with pity after the initial shock. This time, however, their impression of Ning Qi had improved. To be able to defeat a 4-star Emperor Fong Ku with the cultivation of a King Realm fighter, he should be able to enter the top 1000 of the dragon ranking. With such talent, it was a pity that he chose to come out and play instead of hiding and developing. "Brother Ning, break both of your arms. Quick!" Xie Linjia roared in his heart as he glared at Ning Qi. He did not even dare to send a telepathic message, afraid that someone would hear him and label him as Ning Qi's accomplice. If that happened, he would not be able to enter the Fong clan as a servant. It would be a light punishment for him to be banished from the sacred Fong palace. "Break both of my arms?" The corner of Ning Qi's mouth curled up slightly. He looked at Fong Bai and smiled. "I'm here to challenge Fong Mo, not to break both of my arms. Are you saying that the Fong clan, one of the top 9 clans in Dongxian, is afraid of being challenged?" "You don't have the right," Fong Bai said calmly. He did not seem to be angered by Ning Qi. However, Ning Qi knew that Fong Bai must be very angry. As soon as he finished speaking, Fong Bai's body emitted a thick killing intent that locked onto him. It seemed that if he wanted to challenge Fong Mo, he would have to first defeat this fellow in front of him. Thinking of this, Ning Qi smiled. "You don't have the right to judge whether I have the right or not. If you want to fight, then come. If I defeat you, you will ask Fong Mo to come see me, right?" "Arrogant!" Fong Bai growled and slammed his palm toward Ning Qi. Behind him, there seemed to be a faint golden Buddha. The Buddha's palm slowly covered Ning Qi, and at that moment it merged with Fong Bai's palm. "Run!" The group of people who came to the Fong clan to be hired as servants were already more than 100 feet away from Ning Qi. When they saw Fong Bai's attack, they immediately retreated more than 100 feet, afraid that they would be implicated by Ning Qi. Just in time. "Let's see if your lower heaven-level Buddha's palm is stronger or my 18 dragons subduing palms." Ning Qi laughed coldly and slammed his palm forward. Chapter 396. A fierce battle boom. Their palms collided. One emitted a faint golden light, while the other emitted a faint silver light. After a breath, the light became more intense. With their palms as the center, the light spread in all directions. The terrifying airwaves knocked everyone off their feet. Even Fong Ku, who had just gotten up to watch the fight, couldn't help but take a few steps back. Everyone looked at this scene in shock. So powerful! What a terrifying aftershock. If I faced it head-on, I would have turned to ashes by now. Ning Qi and Fong Bai took 6 or 7 steps back at the same time. Each step left a deep footprint on the ground. Fong Bai's HP had been reduced by 50 to 60,000. Ning Qi, on the other hand, had only lost about 20,000. It was clear who was stronger. Which sect are you from? What palm technique is that? Fong Bai looked at Ning Qi in shock. His Buddha's palm was taught to him by Fong Mo. It was one of the 3 heaven-class martial techniques of the Fong family. Although it was ranked last, it was extremely powerful. Even a peak emperor would not be able to withstand his palm, let alone a peak king realm fighter. But Ning Qi not only withstood it, but also forced him to take a few steps back. At the same time, he suffered some minor injuries. His qi and blood surged. It was unbelievable. Ning Qi of the Cloud Rising sect. Ning Qi smiled faintly. His goal was to enter the top 100 on the Dragon leaderboard, so he didn't need to use a fake name. Cloud Rising sect. Brother Ning, you're a disciple of a top sect. You must be a true disciple. Xie Lin Jiaqiang suddenly understood. Which lampholder elder of the Cloud Rising sect are you a true disciple of? Why have I never seen you before? Fong Bai frowned slightly. Haha, I'm an outer disciple. Ning Qi smiled. Outer disciple. Fong Bai's face showed a hint of anger. Since you don't want to tell me where you're from, don't leave the Fong family today. With that, he attacked Ning Qi again. How could an outer disciple of the Cloud Rising sect be so powerful? He was obviously playing with him. Ning Qi let out a wild laugh and fearlessly went up to meet him. Since he was going to challenge Fong Mo, he might as well use this guy in front of him as a warm-up. If he couldn't even beat him, there was no need to go looking for Fong Mo to humiliate himself. He could just turn around and leave. In the blink of an eye, the two had exchanged over 100 moves. This time, Fong Bai had learned his lesson. Instead of clashing head-on with Ning Qi, he used his movement technique to find Ning Qi's flaws. However, the more he fought, the more apprehensive he became. He had clearly struck Ning Qi's chest a few times. Logically speaking, even if he was a Do Huang, he would at least be seriously injured if not dead. But Ning Qi acted as if nothing had happened. Who the hell is this guy? Even young Master Fong Bai couldn't defeat him. Fong Ku watched the battle in shock. Because of the huge commotion, members of the Fong clan walked over to the main gate one by one. Standing with Fong Ku, they watched the battle with curiosity. On the streets, there were many disciples of the Fong clan's side branches. At first, there were only a few hundred people watching, but after a while there were already thousands of people watching. Who is this kid? Why is he fighting with Cousin Fong Bai? Could it be Cousin Fong Bai's enemy? He, who would dare to come to our Fong clan to seek revenge. Does he want to die? A few disciples of the Fong clan were curious. This guy is only a Peak King Do? What? He really is. Hiss, everyone took a deep breath. Fong Bai was a Peak King Do Huang. Even though he hadn't entered the 9 stages of life and death, he was talented and ranked in the top 200 of the dragon ranking. He could easily defeat an ordinary 1st or 2nd stage King Do Huang. But now, he was on par with a Peak King Do Huang? What the hell was going on? Even though they were experienced and knowledgeable, they were still confused and couldn't make heads or tails of the situation. Fong Ku, you were the first one here. Do you know what's going on? Why is Fong Bai's cousin fighting with him? What is his background? Is he from another clan? A woman asked with a frown. Hearing this, everyone turned to look at Fong Ku, waiting for his reply. Fong Ku said with a serious face, Young masters, I'm not sure either. But this kid just said that he's an outer disciple of the Cloud Rising sect. I just don't know if it's true. An outer disciple of the Cloud Rising sect? Is he joking? Someone laughed coldly. The corner of his mouth curled into a mocking smile. If the outer disciples of the Cloud Rising sect were this strong, they wouldn't be the 9 great clans, but the 10 great clans. Yes, he can't be an outer disciple of the Cloud Rising sect. Is he a prodigy that some other clan has been secretly training? Is he preparing to make a name for himself? Could he be from the Ding clan? The Ding clan has always kept a low profile. In the past, there have been disciples who have amazed the world. It's very possible. What happened here? Suddenly, a faint voice was heard. Hearing this, everyone from the Fong clan was shocked. They hurriedly looked in the direction of the voice. Fong Mo. Everyone's expression immediately became solemn. One by one, they moved to the side and created a path for Fong Mo. Fong Mo indifferently walked to the front. He frowned slightly when he saw Fong Bai fighting with a Peak Do Wang. Young Master Fong Mo, it's actually like this. Fong Ku explained the situation. When he finally said that Ning Qi was really here to challenge Fong Mo, the shock in everyone's eyes deepened. They all looked at Fong Mo to see his reaction. Challenge me? Fong Mo's expression turned cold. Cousin Fong Mo, you must teach this arrogant fellow a lesson. Otherwise, any Tom, Dick, or Harry will come to challenge you. You won't even have time to train. Yes, but from the looks of it, he won't be able to last long against Cousin Fong Bai. The Do Qi of a Peak King Do and a Peak Do Huang are too far apart. Even if he can tie with Cousin Fong Bai for a while, he won't be able to last long. These Fong clan disciples who were older than Fong Mo by 5 or 6 years, 7 or 8 years, or even more than 10 years, were all flattering Fong Mo with ingratiating smiles on their faces. Fong Mo did not say anything. He quietly watched the battle between Fong Bai and Ning Qi. At this moment, Fong Bai and Ning Qi exchanged a few more blows. The battle was extremely intense. They fought directly into the center of the Fong clan's courtyard. They were only a few hundred feet away from Fong Mo and the others. Big Brother is here? Fong Bai turned around and happened to see Fong Mo looking at him. His heart trembled. No, I have to finish this battle quickly. I can't let them laugh at me. I can't embarrass Big Brother. As a Peak King Do Huang, he was a little impatient after fighting with Ning Qi for so long. Die. Chapter 397. Chapter 397. A punch, is it starting to explode? Ning Qi thought to himself. Ning Qi noticed that Fong Bai's attacks had increased tremendously. Fong Bai seemed to have given up on defense and wanted to kill him with one blow. Ning Qi's lips curled into a faint smile. In his eyes, Fong Bai's HP had already fallen to 70,000. This was a relatively dangerous amount. As for Ning Qi, he had stuffed a few Earth high-grade spring recovery pills into his mouth. His current HP was still very good, above 200,000. Fong Bai's palm hit Ning Qi's chest, and Ning Qi's palm hit Fong Bai's shoulder. Both sides were sent flying by the force of the other's palm, but Fong Mo was quick to react. He gently reached out and caught Fong Bai. Ning Qi, on the other hand, crashed through the wall and fell on the street in a sorry state, his body covered with gravel. On the street, the crowd looked at Ning Qi curiously. He should be dead, right? He's dead for sure. After all, he's only a king fighter at the peak of the king fighter realm, not a member of the Dragon Clan. How could he have withstood young Master Fong Bai's attack? Looks like Fong Bai is slightly better. Sigh, Xie Linjiaqiang sighed to himself. He felt sorry for Ning Qi. Why did he come to the sacred Fong Palace to seek death? In time, he would be able to make a name for himself in the outside world. He really didn't understand what Ning Qi was thinking. Was fame really that important? Did I win? Fong Bai spat out a mouthful of blood. With Fong Mo's support, he managed to stand. He looked at the pile of gravel through the hole in the wall, feeling a little uneasy. He had used 130% of his strength in that attack. It should be enough to kill Ningqi, right? After a few breaths, a hand suddenly reached out from the pile of gravel. Then, Ningqi climbed out and dusted himself off. He smiled at Fang Bai. You're really strong, but it's not enough. Why can't I kill this guy? His body is so strong. Could he be a disciple of the Tuoba family? Has he cultivated the indestructible golden body? Gasp. If he's from the Tuoba clan, then there's going to be a good show to watch. The Tuoba clan and the Fang clan have been mortal enemies for thousands of years. Yes, that is indeed the case. The two clans once fought over a mysterious tree in the Black Sea Dragon region, and each of them lost 3 Doshings. Even the Do-Di was seriously injured. This grudge has lasted for thousands of years, and has yet to be resolved. When the disciples of the two clans meet, it is basically a life-and-death battle. Brother, you seem to know a lot. It's recorded in the Dongxian annals of the Baishao family. It costs 20 lower spiritual crystals a copy. Do you want it? The onlookers whispered to each other. Among them, there was no lack of knowledgeable fellows who were narrating their own speculations. Is he okay? How could this be? Fang Bai stared at Ningqi in horror as if a huge wave had been set off in his heart. Interesting, while the Fang clan disciples were shocked, they were also deeply curious about Ningqi. How could a Peak Do Wang do this? Could it be that Fang Bai's strength had deteriorated? A few disciples of the Fang clan who were not on good terms with Fang Bai had gloating looks in their eyes. Fang Mo gently patted Fang Bai's shoulder and said, "You heal yourself first." Yes. Fang Bai lowered his head in humiliation. Then, Fang Mo walked toward Ningqi. He only stopped when he was about 3 meters away from Ningqi. He looked at Ningqi and said with a faint smile, "You're from the Tuoba clan, right? Did you come to the sacred palace today to challenge me?" "I've already said that I'm an outer disciple of the Cloud Rising clan. Are you Fang Mo? I'm here to challenge Fang Mo today. If you're not, please step aside." Ningqi smiled. He glanced at Fang Bai's attribute. Apart from his life points and rank, his cultivation and martial arts techniques were all the same. An outer disciple of the Cloud Rising clan, Fang Mo looked Ningqi up and down. Seeing that Ningqi did not look like he was joking, Fang Mo was a little confused. However, he still smiled calmly and said, "Yes, I'm Fang Mo. You're quite strong, but you still have a long way to go before you can challenge me. You were able to fight my brother to a draw. Based on your cultivation level, you should be in the top 150 of the Dragon leaderboard." There was a hint of arrogance in his tone, as if he was an elder lecturing a junior. However, everyone knew that Fang Mo was only 15 years old. Is Big Brother trying to befriend him? Fang Bai's eyes were filled with shock and indignation. Ningqi had humiliated him in public. If he did not kill Ningqi, this matter would follow him like a stain for the next few years. Looks like this kid's strength has caught Fang Mo's attention. Otherwise, he would not be so polite. Yes, that makes sense. Brother Ning is going to make a meteoric rise. Even if he can't defeat Fang Mo, as long as he doesn't die today, he will definitely be in the top 150 of the Dragon leaderboard, just like Fang Mo said. That's already equivalent to a first-rate disciple of the top 9 clans. Xiaolinjiaqiang looked at Ningqi with envy. But then, Fang Mo's tone changed, and an incomparably violent killing intent emanated from his body, instantly locking onto Ningqi. Everyone could feel the temperature of the air drop by more than 10 degrees, and they couldn't help but shiver. What a strong killing intent! How many people has Fang Mo killed? When the disciples of the Fang clan are not cultivating, they train everywhere and go to all sorts of forbidden lands. I bet that countless humans, dragons, and monsters have died at his hands. Otherwise, how could he have cultivated such a terrifying killing intent? Everyone was secretly shocked. Fang Mo looked coldly at Ningqi. "However, every year I run into 8 or 10 people like you. You always want to defeat me, then take my place and steal my reputation. Some of them are already dead, and some are still locked up in the Fang clan's prisons. However, for the sake of the Cloud Rising sect, I'll give you a chance. Mend the walls of the Fang clan, and work as a servant for another year. Then I'll let you walk out of here alive. Fang Mo's eyes were cold as ice. You want me to be your servant? Ning Qi smiled faintly. Today, I'm going to use you to climb to the top. Enough with the nonsense. Fang Mo, either you kill me or you admit that you're no match for me and give up your position. If I become one of the top 100 on the dragon leaderboard, I'll turn around and leave. Otherwise, let's see who's stronger. If that's the case, then it's fine. Fang Mo nodded. Suddenly, a look of shock appeared in Ning Qi's eyes. Fang Mo's figure disappeared like a shadow, and the next moment, he saw that Fang Mo was less than a fist away from him. Boom! Fang Mo's fist landed on Ning Qi's stomach, and Ning Qi was instantly sent flying into the air. His HP dropped by more than 100,000, and then he fell heavily to the ground. So fast. I couldn't even react in time. The difference between him and Fang Bai is so great. Is this the strength of the 100 on the dragon leaderboard? Chapter 398. He didn't die. Did you see Cousin Fang Mo's actions clearly? A Fang clan member who was around 20 years old and was already a one-star Do Huang said in a daze. The Fang family members looked at each other and shook their heads silently. Cousin Fang Mo is really strong. With his talent, I think he can enter the top 50 of the dragon ranking in 3 or 4 years. If that's the case, he even has the opportunity to be personally taught by Grandpa Xian. Someone said enviously. Hearing this, everyone's faces turned solemn. The Grandpa Xian he mentioned was a one-star Do Huang of the Fang family. If Fang Mo could be personally taught by a Do Huang, he would at least be a Do Xing in the future. Fang Bai looked at Fang Mo's back with a face full of admiration. Big brother is really strong. Give me a few more years, and I can also become an existence like him. With one punch, Ning Qi, who had been evenly matched with Fang Bai, was sent flying. The faces of the onlookers showed excitement and shock. They were excited that they could see Fang Mo fight today. They were shocked that Fang Mo's strength was as strong as the rumors said. Dad, one day, I want to be as strong as young Master Fang. A 7 or 8-year-old youth held his father's hand and said seriously. Good, as long as you have 1/10 of young Master Fang Mo, I will be very happy. The middle-aged man was happy for his son's ambition and patted his head. Brother Ning is in trouble this time. Xielinjiaqiang looked at Ning Qi and then at Fang Mo, shaking his head in his heart. He can still stand up? Fang Mo frowned slightly. With that, his figure once again turned into an afterimage. Again, Ning Qi said in his heart. In an instant, Fang Mo appeared in front of Ning Qi and punched him again. Boom! Ning Qi flew out like a cannonball. I don't believe this. After landing, Ning Qi threw an upper earth rejuvenation pill into his mouth and looked at Fang Mo with a serious face. You are really not from the Tuoba family? Fang Mo frowned and looked at Ning Qi. 18 dragons subduing palms. Ning Qi directly slapped his palm forward. At this time, Fang Mo was still more than 100 feet away from him. Logically speaking, it was impossible to hit him. He was beaten silly by young Master Fang Mo? It's possible. He probably gave up on himself. If I were him, I'd rather kneel down and beg for mercy. With his talent, the Fang clan would definitely take him in as a servant. He might even live a better life than before. If he's lucky, the Fang clan is prepared to put in a lot of effort to nurture him, and then he'll soar to the heavens in one go. Perhaps the thoughts of geniuses are different from ours. Some people sighed because of Ning Qi's craziness. Some people were jealous of Ning Qi's talent, but he didn't know how to cherish it. However, there were even more people who hoped to see Ning Qi's miserable end. This made them very happy. Some people in the Fang clan came to their senses and looked at Ning Qi in astonishment, their eyes shining with admiration. Looking at Fang Mo's shadow that was not far away, Ning Qi's mouth curled into a sinister smile. Die! Sure enough, Fang Mo appeared in front of him again. This time, Ning Qi had predicted Fang Mo's move, so when Fang Mo appeared, he had no choice but to meet Ning Qi's palm. Boom! Ning Qi retreated more than 10 steps. Fang Mo retreated 7 or 8 steps. The palm wind from the exchange between the two spread in all directions. It was several times stronger than the palm technique that Fang Mo had used against Fang Bai. The crowd only felt a strong gust of wind hit them in the face, and they almost couldn't open their eyes. Seeing this scene, the crowd finally came to their senses. Ning Qi was not crazy. He can meet young master Fang Mo's palm attack head-on? This guy is a little too strong. He can't be at the peak of the king of fighters, right? He must be faking it, right? This battle seems to be getting interesting. What a strong battle consciousness, Xie Lin Jiaqiang said in shock. As expected, the Fang clan members said in their hearts. They had guessed it the moment Ning Qi made his move. However, they were also very shocked. No one present could meet Fang Mo's palm attack head-on, but Ning Qi did it. This meant that he was already stronger than all of them. No wonder Fang Bai was no match for him. The crowd involuntarily glanced at Fang Bai. At this moment, he was also in shock. Fang Mo's expression was a little ugly. Very good. He looked at Ning Qi and said indifferently. His body turned into a shadow. The battle began again. Although Ning Qi could occasionally predict and counterattack, he was suppressed by Fang Mo most of the time. If he had not prepared enough upper earth-class rejuvenation pills, he would have died many times over. More and more Fang clan members rushed over. Third sister, there's actually a peak king of fighters who can fight with Fang Mo like this? That guy looks so familiar. Wait. Fang Jing's expression suddenly changed. Look, doesn't he look like the outer disciple of the Cloud Rising sect, Ning Qi? It really does look like him. Fang Jing's two brothers said in shock. This guy is so strong? Fang Jing's face was filled with disbelief. Although she was no match for Ning Qi, she thought that Ning Qi was only slightly stronger than her. But now, it seemed that Ning Qi was not just a little stronger than her. At this moment, boom! Ning Qi was smacked down from the air by Fang Mo's palm attack. Coincidentally, he landed in front of the Fang clan members. The onlookers outside gathered their courage and squeezed to the door to see if Ning Qi was dead. Is he still alive? Fang Ku tentatively stretched his neck and looked at the deep pit in front of him. To be able to exchange so many blows with cousin Fang Mo before losing, he's not simple. Yes, indeed. If he really is an outer disciple of the Cloud Rising sect, with such talent, if he doesn't die, he'll probably be accepted by the Lampholder Elder. But it's a pity that he dared to challenge cousin Fang Mo. He won't have that chance. Someone laughed coldly. Fang Mo landed on the ground from the air. His body floated like an immortal, without a speck of dust. When he fought with Ning Qi, he always had one hand behind his back. Fang Ku, collect his body and send it to the Cloud Rising sect. Fang Mo said indifferently. Then, he turned and left. Yes, young master Fang Mo, Fang Ku hurriedly responded and walked toward the deep pit, preparing to drag Ning Qi's body out. The onlookers sighed one after another. They didn't sigh for Ning Qi, but for the fact that the battle had ended so quickly. They hadn't even seen it. If there was anyone who was worried about Ning Qi, it was probably Xie Lin Jiaqiang. Fang Ku walked to the side of the deep pit and suddenly froze. Fang Ku, what are you waiting for? Fang Bai's injuries were temporarily stabilized. He stood up from the ground and frowned at Fang Ku. Fang Ku looked at Ning Qi in shock as he climbed out of the deep pit. Although he was in a sorry state, he was full of energy. He's not dead. Chapter 399. Buddha's voice. Fang Mo's footsteps paused slightly. He turned around abruptly and saw Ning Qi grinning at him. His face gradually darkened. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? Could it be a zombie? Or is he still alive? A middle-aged man beside Xie Linjiaqiang mumbled to himself. You're not seeing things. I saw it too. Another man said in a trembling voice. Xie Linjiaqiang swallowed his saliva. His mouth was parched because he had not closed it for a long time. He couldn't help but lick his lip. Could he be a member of the Dragon Clan? Someone from the Fang family said doubtfully. Dragon Clan. This speculation made everyone's expression change. Although Ning Qi didn't show any signs of being a member of the Dragon Clan, the fact that he was able to withstand so many attacks from Fang Mo without dying was enough to make everyone suspicious. Fang Jing and her two brothers looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. They were glad that they hadn't made Ning Qi their enemy. Otherwise, they might not have been able to leave the Dragon Clan's cemetery. Fang Mo, the battle has just begun. Are you trying to escape? Ning Qi smiled at Fang Mo and a long saber appeared in his hand. The Dragon Slayer saber. As soon as it appeared, an extremely sharp aura was emitted, causing everyone to look at it involuntarily. What kind of fighting weapon is that? An Earth-grade one? No, an Earth-grade fighting weapon can't make my heart palpitate. Someone looked at the Dragon Slayer saber in Ning Qi's hand with a pale face. When it appeared, he almost couldn't breathe. Fang Mo's expression was no longer as calm as before. After all, he was only 15 years old. No matter how well he pretended to be, he still had the restlessness of a young man. Seeing Ning Qi repeatedly climb up from the ground, a sense of shame and anger rose in Fang Mo's heart. He didn't answer Ning Qi's question. Instead, he made his move. The hand that had been on his back was already unsheathed. Fang Mo appeared above Ning Qi's head in an instant. A giant golden Buddha appeared behind him. Then, he slapped both his palms at Ning Qi. Everyone felt a buzzing sound in their ears, as if they could hear the sound of Buddha lingering in their ears. In Ning Qi's eyes, Fang Mo disappeared between heaven and earth. In front of him, there was only a golden Buddha that had condensed from the void. Cousin Fang Mo's Buddha's palm has actually reached the realm of Buddhist voice of salvation. At this moment, a few more Do Huangs rushed over. The strength of these Do Huangs were between the first and third stage of the 9 life and death trials. From the looks of it, they weren't very old. It was obvious that they were the genius disciples of the Fang clan who were weaker than Fang Mo by 1 or 2 levels. The young man at the very front, who was about 23 years old, revealed an expression of shock. The Buddha's palm had a total of 9 forms. The Buddha voice purification was already the 7th form. In the Fang clan, those who could practice the Buddha's palm to this level were all ancestors of the Doshing class or a few geniuses who were even more abnormal than Fang Mo. However, the youngest among them was only 7 or 8 years older than Fang Mo. They were not considered to be of the same generation. Hence, Fang Mo was likely the first person in his generation. This was the real Fang Mo. He had finally revealed his true strength. Big brother, it turns out that you are already this strong. Fang Bai muttered to himself. There was envy in his eyes as well as a thread of jealousy. Since he was young, he had treated Fang Mo as his benchmark. He had also been working hard to catch up. When Fang Mo was a 1-star Do Huang, he was a peak Do Huang. When Fang Mo was a 2-star Do Huang, he was a 1-star Do Huang. Until now, he had been closely following Fang Mo's footsteps. However, from the looks of it now, it was just a joke. The gap between him and Fang Mo now seemed to be no different from a chasm. Buddha voice purification. This is the legendary 7th form of the Buddha's palm. Buddha voice purification. Among the onlookers outside, there were disciples from the Fang clan's side branches. When they saw the large Buddha and heard the Buddha voice, their eyes immediately became wet. Once upon a time, There had been such a prodigy among their ancestors. However, for hundreds of years, due to various reasons, they did not inherit the glory of their ancestors. Instead, they were reduced to the side branches of the Fong clan. Hence, when they saw Fong Mo once again use the Buddha voice purification, it immediately evoked the beautiful memories of the past. This brat is going to die, right? Yes, he will not survive. Even I would be seriously injured if I were to face this move. What? Senior, you are a 3-star dozong. You don't have the confidence to block this move? Are the top 100 on the dragon ranking really that strong? You've never believed in the ranking board of wandering whimpers because you've never fought against them. I once fought against the person ranked 138th on the dragon rank, and in the end, I won by a hair's breadth. If we fought to the death, the results would be unknown. Hiss, among this group of onlookers, there were a few people who looked similar to ordinary people. However, they were all dozong existences. Originally, they wanted to come to the Fong clan to see if they could become the disciple of one of the elders. However, they coincidentally saw the scene of Ning Qi and Fong Mo exchanging blows. Ding! The host is facing a fatal attack. Please spend 50,000 dragon slaying coins. The system will help the host teleport to a safe location. The system's voice suddenly sounded in Ning Qi's mind. The system's voice, which had always been cold, seemed to be a little anxious at this moment. However, Ning Qi's mind was completely immersed in Fong Mo's Buddha's universal salvation. He did not hear the system's voice. Otherwise, he would definitely have some doubts about the system. Heavens! Horizon! Ning Qi's lips moved slightly. What is he saying? I can't hear clearly. Is he saying his last words? Everyone saw Ning Qi's lips move slightly, but Ning Qi's voice was very soft. Ming! Ning Qi suddenly raised his head and slashed at the Buddha in front of him. Moon! A destructive aura surged out from the dragon-slaying saber. The snow dragon pearl on the saber suddenly released a dazzling light. Creak! What happened? Everyone looked at the ground in shock. They saw that the ground was rapidly freezing, making crunching sounds. They hurriedly flew into the air. Not long after, the area within a radius of thousands of feet had become a piece of ice. Regardless of whether it was the walls or the trees, at this moment, everything was covered in cold ice. Roar! An ancient ice dragon that was completely different from before broke out of the dragon slayer saber. Its body was slender, but when it flew halfway, it exploded with a bang and turned into ice crystals that filled the sky. The sunlight shone on these ice crystals, reflecting a dazzling 7-colored light. Saber! Chapter 400. You have lost Boom. With the Buddha and Ning Qi as the center, the sound waves spread out rapidly. My ears! Some of the weaker cultivators covered their ears with a pained expression. Those who reacted quickly had already sealed their hearing and looked at Ning Qi in horror. The loud sound rang through the entire Fong sacred palace. Everywhere, passers-by, hawkers, and soldiers guarding the city, all raised their heads and looked in the direction of the Fong clan. Their faces were filled with shock. Outside the Fong sacred palace in a nearby town, when the sound reached here, it was no longer as shocking. However, everyone still looked in the direction of the Fong sacred palace in shock. Is this loud noise caused by people fighting? What terrifying power! Even we can hear it from here. What a pity! If we were in the Fong sacred palace, we would be able to see this battle. Fong clan, Fong sacred palace. Several old monsters who were cultivating in seclusion suddenly opened their eyes and glanced in the direction of the battle between Ning Qi and Fong Mo. Buddha's palm. Buddha's voice of salvation? This aura is Fong Mo? This little guy is quite talented. However, this level of battle was not enough for them to come out of seclusion. Therefore, they only smiled and continued to cultivate. Xielin Jiqiang flew in the air and looked at the solid ice on the ground. His eyes were filled with shock. If he had not reacted in time, he might have been attacked by this mysterious frost power. Everyone looked at Ning-Chi and Fong Mo. The palm of the golden Buddha that Fong Mo had transformed into was less than a millimeter away from Ning-Chi. Its body was already covered in frost. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Accompanied by a slight cracking sound, cracks appeared on the surface of the Buddha, and these cracks gradually spread. Boom! The entire Buddha turned into palm-sized fragments and fell to the ground. Following that, a black figure inside the Buddha fell to the ground in a sorry state. Fong Mo looked at Ning-Chi with a pale face. A trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Ning-Chi looked at him calmly. "You have lost. Big brother! Cousin Fong Mo." Everyone in the Fong clan was shocked and looked at the scene in disbelief. Fong Mo had been defeated? Even the Buddha that was condensed from Do-Chi was frozen? What kind of power was this? He's definitely a dragon. That terrifying dragon aura just now can't be faked. Defeating cousin Fong Mo at the peak of the Do Wang class. Don't tell me. Someone sucked in a breath of cold air. The three great dragon clans? This conjecture caused everyone to feel a trace of panic. Although the Fong clan was strong, they still didn't have the power to resist the three great dragon clans. If they were really from the three great dragon clans, then what was their purpose in challenging Fong Mo? Were they going to make a move on the Fong clan? Thinking of the temperament of the dragon race, panic instantly spread in everyone's hearts. These people would rather believe that Ning-Chi was a dragon than believe that Ning-Chi was a human. Brother Ning, did you really win? Xie Linjiaqiang felt as if he was dreaming. He looked at Ning-Chi and felt that everything was surreal. If it weren't for the cold air coming from the ground telling him that it wasn't a dream, he wouldn't have believed that there was someone who could jump levels and defeat the prodigy of the Fong clan, Fong Mo, who was ranked 100 on the dragon rank. Ning-Chi glanced at Fong Mo indifferently and turned to leave. The onlookers outside all looked at Ning-Chi respectfully. Some of them looked at Ning-Chi in fear and subconsciously stepped aside to make way for him. Brother Ning. Xie Linjiaqiang didn't dare to greet Ning-Chi and swallowed his words. At this moment, no one dared to stop him. Everyone in the Fong clan, including Fong Mo, watched as Ning-Chi disappeared from their sight. After Ning-Chi left, Fong Mo spat out a mouthful of blood. Fong Bai came to his side anxiously. Brother, are you okay? Fong Mo waved his hand blankly. I'm fine. With that, he stood up and turned to leave. Everyone knew that Fong Mo had never tasted defeat since his debut. Now that he had lost to someone of the same generation whose cultivation was far lower than his, he must be in a bad mood. Therefore, aside from Fong Bai, no one dared to comfort him. After Fong Mo left, Fong Bai shouted at Fong Ku in a low voice, "Go and find out who this person is. If he's from the three great dragon clans, then forget it." Fong Ku hesitated for a moment, but when he saw Fong Bai's eyes full of murderous intent, he quickly nodded. "Okay, I'll go now." Cousin Fong Bai. Fong Jing suddenly stood up. Fong Bai glanced at her. He had some impression of Fong Jing. Although she wasn't a branch of the Fong clan, she wasn't far from it. Other than an old demon at the battle sage level, there was no one else in her branch who was capable. After Fong Xingnan died of old age, this branch would be kicked out and become a branch, losing the right to live in the Fong clan. Therefore, Fong Bai's attitude toward her wasn't very good. He frowned and asked, "What's the matter?" "Well, I've seen that guy just now," Fong Jing said. As soon as she said this, the crowd instantly burst into an uproar. They all looked at Fong Jing in surprise. "You've seen him?" Fong Bai was stunned for a moment, then he asked with a serious expression. "Yes." Fong Jing nodded. "What's his background? Where did you see him?" Fong Bai hurriedly asked. "He's an outer disciple of the Cloud Rising sect. I saw him when Elder Xingnan brought us to a dragon graveyard. I even fought with him," Fong Jing said. "That's impossible. You fought with him, and you're still alive? Tisk tsk, these branch family members only know how to boast. Everyone looked at Fang Jing suspiciously. Fang Jing's two brothers were infuriated. They were about to retort when Fang Jing raised her hand and stopped them. She calmly said, "You can verify whether it's true or not." With that, she turned around and left. Her two brothers glared at the crowd, then hurriedly followed her and left the place. Fang Bai muttered to himself in a low voice. He went to a dragon graveyard. That means he's definitely not a dragon. At this thought, he felt a sense of heaviness in his heart, as if someone had hit his chest with a sledgehammer. He's really an outer disciple of the Cloud Rising sect. Big Brother and I were defeated by someone like him? Fang Bai spat out a mouthful of blood. Fang Ku happened to be in front of him, and his face was covered in blood. Then, Fang Bai's body began to sway, and Fang Ku hurriedly went up to support him. The people of the Fang clan looked at him with pity and sighed inwardly. Today, the two brothers, Fang Mo and Fang Bai, were both defeated by the same person. The reputation they had built up over the years was probably going to be destroyed in a day. The top 100 of the dragon leaderboard of the Bai Shao clan would also change. It was very likely that because of today's battle, Fang Mo would fall out of the top 100. Chapter 401. Chapter 401 Introduction. Mushroom Cloud. Ning Qi calmly left the sacred Fang Palace. When the soldiers guarding the city saw this, they were shocked. They still remembered that Ning Qi had paid a total of 2,000 middle spiritual crystals and entered the sacred palace with another person. Now, he was leaving in less than a day? Wouldn't that be a waste of 1,000 medium spiritual crystals? Seeing that Ning Qi had disappeared from their sight, the two of them looked at each other and thought to themselves. They were even more certain that Ning Qi was from the 9 superclans. Moreover, his identity was extraordinary. That was why he could treat 1,000 medium spiritual crystals as a lower spiritual crystal. In the vast forest, after completely losing sight of the Fang sacred palace, Ning Qi suddenly leaned against a tree. His face turned deathly pale, and he spat out a mouthful of sticky, bright red blood. There were even pieces of internal organs mixed in the blood. Then, Ning Qi expressionlessly took out the remaining 10 or so Earth upper-grade rejuvenation pills and threw them into his mouth. His life force was decreasing at a terrifying speed. A strand of fighting qi that did not belong to him was swimming in his body, destroying his internal organs. If not for the fact that the Dragon Slayer's fighting qi was of a high grade and could restrain him, Ning Qi would have become a corpse by now. Buddha's palm. After taking more than 10 upper earth level miracle rejuvenation elixirs, Ning Qi's face looked better and he muttered to himself. Although he seemed to have defeated Fang Mo easily with that slash, he had paid a huge price. The price was so terrifying that even the upper earth level miracle rejuvenation elixirs would not be effective in one go. It was considered a continuous damage. I have to prepare more upper earth level miracle rejuvenation elixirs in the future. Otherwise, if I encounter a martial arts technique with continuous damage, I will die. Ning Qi thought to himself. The system did not notify him that he had completed the mission. It was probably because the news had not been recorded by the Bai Shao clan. When the next ranking list came out, he would have completed the advancement mission. Thinking of this, Ning Qi summoned Little Z and flew towards the capital of the Jiuzhou Empire. In the extreme south of Dongxian there was a huge city. This city was called 100 Daybreak. Within the Bai Shao clan, there was a heavenly eye hall that was in charge of collecting all sorts of information in Dongxian. No matter what happened or where a prodigy appeared, as long as they were qualified to enter the heavenly eye hall, the Bai Shao clan's ubiquitous spies would report to them. Hall Master, you can take a look at this news yourself. Inside the heavenly eye hall, a middle-aged man respectfully held a report and walked to the back of an old man whose back was facing him. This old man was the Hall Master of the Heavenly Eye Hall, Bai Shao Nangguo. He was a Dosheng who had made a name for himself several hundred years ago. Of course, compared to those old monsters, there was still a gap. At the very least, his face was ruddy and his skin was firm. He looked like he was only in his 60s or 70s. Oh! Bai Xianguo flipped through the report and exclaimed in surprise. Fang Mo, the prodigy of the Fang family, was defeated by Ning Qi, an outer sect disciple of the Cloud Rising sect? Is this information reliable? The middle-aged man said in a low voice, reliable. My grand disciple saw it with his own eyes. Oh, interesting. Fang Mo is only 15 or 16 years old, right? None of his peers in the Fang family can compare to him. Even if all the prodigies under the age of 30 are combined, Fang Mo can still be ranked in the top 10. I remember that he was ranked 100th on the dragon ranking in the last issue? Yes. The middle-aged man nodded. Such a prodigy lost to an unknown outer sect disciple of the Cloud Rising sect? How interesting. It's been a long time since I heard such interesting news. Bai Xianguo smiled. The middle-aged man knew that he and one of the patriarchs of the Fang clan had once fallen out because of a woman. Because of that, Bai Xianguo had always been biased against the Fang clan. Otherwise, he wouldn't have passed on the information to Bai Xianguo just because Fang Mo had been defeated. Under normal circumstances, Bai Xianguo would only need to read the information when it involved a Dosheng. As for the rest, he could make decisions directly. Seeing that Bai Xianguo was happy, the middle-aged man was slightly happy. His decision was correct. Go and investigate the background of that kid called Ning Qi. We'll make a special feature in the next issue. Bai Xianguo smiled. All right. The middle-aged man's eyes lit up. As the name suggested, a special feature meant that when selling the dragon ranking, they would also sell a detailed explanation related to this issue of the dragon ranking. Inside, the details of the battle between Ning Qi and Fang Mo would appear. Of course, it would be necessary to belittle Fang Mo. I guess the people from the Fang family will be furious when they see this, right? Ha! The middle-aged man laughed in his heart. Jiuzhou Empire. The capital. Ning Qi didn't go directly to the Divine Dragon Marquis's mansion. Instead, he went to the Heavenly Mystery Institute. Because Manjulu had specially informed him, Ning Qi had a smooth journey. However, after entering, he found out that Manjulu wasn't in the capital. He didn't know where he had gone. Seeing this, Ning Qi wanted to leave quietly. Unfortunately, before he could turn around and take a few steps, an old man appeared beside Ning Qi and looked at him with a smile. Senior Jean, it's you. I was just about to pay my respects to you. Ning Qi smiled ingratiatingly. As for his cultivation, Ning Qi also had a guess. To be able to make Dongfang Haojie so afraid, he should at least be a Dosheng, right? Boy, you clearly wanted to slip away just now. By the way, I now have some new ideas about your refining skills. Come with me. The old man stared at Ning Qi with a faint smile, then turned around and left. Ning Qi was like a little quail, obediently following behind him. After walking and walking, they passed through several long corridors and suddenly came to an open space. The ground of this open space was covered with an unknown kind of stone. There were scorch marks everywhere, and occasionally cracks could be seen in some places. Is this the testing place that specializes in testing the power of fighting weapons? Ning Qi was slightly startled. When he was chatting with Manjulu before, he had heard him talk about it. For a testing place like this, the stones laid on the ground were all lapis lazuli. This was a kind of stone that could not be refined into fighting weapons, but its hardness was extremely terrifying. Even a heaven-rank fighting weapon might not be able to break it easily. For example, the city wall of the Fang Saint Palace was built with this stone. Did he bring me here to test something? Ning Qi thought in his heart. At this time, he saw the old man take out an iron ball. He looked at Ning Qi with a smile and said, "Do you know what this is?" "I don't know." Ning Qi said obediently. You will know when you see it. The old man smiled and threw the iron ball into the distance. Boom! A mushroom cloud rose. Along with it was a terrible airwave with a temperature of tens of thousands of degrees. Ning Qi was directly hit by the airwave and flew backward for hundreds of feet. Finally, he fell heavily on the ground. He felt that he was going to die. For the first time, he felt so close to death. Even if there were Earth upper-grade rejuvenation pills in the space bag, he did not have the strength to reach out to take them. Chapter 402. A small gain. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot that your cultivation is too low. Old Man Jean appeared beside Ning Qi in a flash. At this moment, Ning Qi's clothes had evaporated, his hair was gone, and his body was covered in bubbles. It looked as if he had just defecated after being roasted in a fire for several hours. Old Man Jean took out a medicinal pill and stuffed it into Ning Qi's mouth. He then pressed his hand on Ning Qi's chest, and a warm combat energy slowly entered Ning Qi's body from his palm. In a breath's time, Ning Qi's injuries were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even his hair began to grow back. After 10 minutes, Ning Qi took out a spare set of clothes from the space bag with a straight face, and then quietly waited for Old Man Jin's explanation. Hee kid, how's the power of my dragon-slaying bullet? Old Man Jean asked with a smile. Senior Jean, the power is not bad, but what does it have to do with me? Ning Qi said lightly. He did not die in the hands of Ning Hongtian, the Bloody Kill sect, or the Dragon Clan, but today, he almost died in the hands of this old man. It was really infuriating. It has a lot to do with you. What battery did you give me before? I just discovered that in this world, other than Do Qi, there are also various mysterious powers. However, these powers cannot be absorbed and used by humans. However, I am overflowing with talent. Using the principle of your battery structure, I extracted a kind of power and refined it into a dragon-slaying bullet. That small bullet just now is enough to kill a rank 7 giant dragon. Oh, it is not the kind that is too strong. Old Man Jean said with a smile. Extract mysterious powers? This old man is really flexible. Ning Qi thought that the method he used was the ordinary refining method of the dragon's continent, and that it was a disposable fighting weapon like the torrential pear blossom needles. But now it seemed that it was not the case. Ding. Warning, you are suffering from radiation damage. Damage degree is 3, maximum 10. In the next 3 days, you will be in a weak state, and your health points will gradually decrease. Please be prepared for defense. The system notification suddenly sounded, and then Ning Qi found that his health points were decreasing at a rate of 5 points per second. Although this speed seemed insignificant, it could lose 18,000 health points in an hour. Sure enough, after the system notification, Ning Qi found that his health points began to decrease. Radiation? What the hell did this old man Jean refine? A miniature nuclear bomb? Ning Qi's face was pale. Or rather, its power had not reached the level of a nuclear bomb, but the effect of the radiation was already the prototype of a nuclear bomb. Senior Jean, if you experiment with such dangerous things in the future, at least remind this junior so that this junior can be prepared, Ning Qi said with dissatisfaction. If you don't stand closer, how can you feel its true power? Old Man Jean said proudly. For thousands of years, there had been no refiner who had made any new innovations in the path of refinement. However, he had done it. This kind of dragon-slaying bullet was even more convenient than dragon-slaying cannons. It could be ignited without the need for battle chi. For example, if there were 10,000 of them and they were carried by 10,000 ordinary people to charge into a certain dragon clan. I'm afraid that even if the dragon clan isn't exterminated, their vitality will be greatly damaged, right? The human race now had another method to attack the dragon race. Nonsense. If I die, what's the use of knowing its power? Ning Qi said in his heart, but he did not say it out loud on the spot. He thought for a moment and asked, "Senior Jean, do you have a more powerful dragon-slaying bullet?" A blush flashed across Old Man Jin's face. He laughed dryly and said, "I'm researching. It should appear in the near future. By the way, in view of your help in my invention of the dragon-slaying bullet, I'm going to give you 10 of them." Ning Qi's face revealed a hint of surprise. "Take it, use it sparingly. With these 10 dragon-slaying bullets, at least if you encounter a rank 7 dragon, you will be able to escape." As Old Man Jin spoke, he took out 10 iron balls and gave them to Ning Qi. Ning Qi took a look and directly put them into his space bag. He was still a little afraid that Old Man Jin's refinement skills were not up to standard, causing the dragon-slaying bullet to explode for no reason. When not in use, it was safer to put it in the space bag. "Alright, I have to continue my research. You can play by yourself." Old Man Jin waved his hand at Ning Qi and turned to leave with a smug face. "If I go in exchange for a real nuclear bomb, will he kneel down on the spot and worship me as his master?" Ning Qi looked at his back and thought, amused. "This is a pleasant surprise. I've obtained 10 dragon-slaying bullet. I wonder who will I use them on next?" Ning Qi smiled and turned to walk towards the door. After leaving the Divine Mystery Institute, Ning Qi came to a restaurant not far from the Divine Dragon Marquis's residence. There would always be a place where ordinary information could be gathered in every place. That was a local restaurant that was of a slightly higher class. Basically, there would be the most popular news circulating in the restaurant. These people were tireless. Even if a knife was held to their neck, they still had to say it. The Withering Bones Forbidden Ground of the Cloud Rising sect is about to open. I heard that the Lamp Elder Meng Qingling, of the Withering Bones Forbidden Ground, has released a lot of places. Some sect disciples who were not qualified to participate have also gotten a chance. That's right. Based on preliminary estimates, there will be more than 3,000 people entering the Withering Bones Forbidden Ground this time, which is much more than the 1 to 200 people in the past. It is said that the Withering Bones Forbidden Ground is connected to a mysterious world. The training speed there is 3 times faster than the outside world. Every person who comes out from there will have their cultivation greatly increased. Hehe, I've also heard that there are humans and dragons in there as well. Speaking of which, it seems to be a fragment of a continent that was shattered during the ancient war between humans and dragons. Those humans and dragons have been reproduced from that generation. No wonder there are so many natural treasures inside. However, only existences below the Do Zun level can enter. Moreover, the humans and dragons inside cannot be underestimated. Each time, less than 10% of the people who come out from the Withering Bones Forbidden Ground will survive. Ning Qi was slightly startled when he heard this. He felt a little curious about the Withering Bones Forbidden Ground. Perhaps he could also go and take a look? Other than this news, there was also some gossip in the capital. Soon, the news that Ning Qi wanted to hear arrived. Has the beast in the Divine Dragon Marquis's residence been executed? The fellow who raped sister-in-law? He was not executed. It is said that the managing elder of the Cloud Rising sect said that he could be suppressed but not executed. Hence, he is currently being suppressed in the sky prison of the Divine Dragon Marquis's residence. Inside? It is no different from death. He has to suffer the torture of the extreme sky flame and the extreme ground ice every day. Chapter 403. Chapter 403 Ntro du Sitio Nduan Ingwe Brothers. This little brother has left the capital for many years. I wonder who that beast in the Divine Dragon Mansion is? Ning Qi smiled. When the two of them saw that Ning Qi had come over to disturb them, their faces were a little unhappy. At this time, Ning Qi took out 5 low-grade spirit crystals and placed them on the table. He smiled and said, "Why don't I pay for your meal?" Their eyes lit up. Although they did not lack money for a meal, The price of these 5 low-grade spirit crystals was dozens of times greater than the value of the meal. After they accepted it with a smile, they invited Ning Qi to sit down and participate in their chat. They even specially called for the waiter to bring another pot of wine. "Little brother, you look young but your cultivation is not low. The two of us can't see through your cultivation. You should be a Do Wang, right?" one of them said with a smile. He was only at the peak of the Do Ling. Even though he knew that Ning Qi was a Do Wang, he did not take it to heart. After all, there were Do Wangs everywhere in the capital. "Brother has good eyesight." Ning Qi smiled and changed the topic. With a curious expression, he asked, "Just now, the two of you mentioned the beast in the Divine Dragon Mansion. I wonder if the two of you know the details of this matter?" "Haha, you're right to ask me. I have a good friend who is a disciple of the Divine Dragon Mansion. Although he is from the side branch, he personally saw that beast Duan Ingjun do such a thing to his half-brother Duan Ingwe's wife. Little brother is not in the capital, so you don't know how lively the Divine Dragon Mansion was that day. Even the government sent people to investigate the situation in detail. Later on, they were allowed to deal with this scandal on their own. As the saying goes, one should not wash one's dirty linen in public. However, everyone knows about this matter." "Caught on the spot? I wonder how many witnesses there are? I think there might be some misunderstanding. I heard that he is an outer disciple of the Cloud Rising sect. He wouldn't abandon everything and do such a shameful thing for a woman, right?" Ning Qi said. "Witnesses? Even if it wasn't 1,000, there should be at least 700 or 800, right?" That day, it just so happened that the disciples of the various clans were competing, and they all rushed back from the various sections. In the end, after the competition, this kind of thing happened. Because the venue of the competition was in the Divine Dragon Manor, before everyone had even left, they just so happened to see this. "Yes, I heard that she pulled Duan Ingjun, that beast, down from the bed." The two of them spoke one after another and basically told Ning Qi what he wanted to know. Ning Qi knew that there must be some deviation. However, Duan Ingjun was caught on the spot with hundreds of witnesses. This made it impossible for Duan Ingjun to overturn the case unless he could find the guy who framed Duan Ingjun and make him admit it personally. "Little brother, you don't seem to believe that Duan Ingjun would do such a thing. Could it be that you know him?" The two of them noticed that Ning Qi's expression seemed to be a little off, and their faces immediately darkened. If people knew that they were drinking at the same table as Duan Ingjun's friend, wouldn't they be laughed at? "Who is Duan Ingjun's friend?" Before Ning Qi could reply, a group of people coincidentally walked up and ordered some food. After hearing this, the group of people exchanged glances with each other and swarmed over. They stood in front of Ning Qi and looked down at the three of them. There were a total of 4 people in this group. The leader looked to be 7 or 8 years older than Ning Qi and was a 2-star Do Huang. The other 3 were all Do Wang and were about the same age as Ning Qi. The two of them had ugly and embarrassed expressions. They recognized who the young man in the lead was. It was the second male lead that they were talking about, Duan Ingjuan's big brother, Duan Ingwe. At this moment, Duan Ingwe's expression was extremely gloomy. It was so gloomy that it seemed as though water droplets could drip down. His eyes continued to sweep across the 3 of them. Every time he passed by their vital points, he would purposely stop for a moment. A faintly discernible killing intent spread out from his body. There were almost no ordinary people in the capital. The weakest was also a doge. Therefore, the people in the restaurant could immediately sense this killing intent and looked over in shock. "Is that Duan Ingwe from the Divine Dragon Manor? Oh, he's the one who did that. Shu, lower your voice. He's currently angry. If you add fuel to the fire, be careful that you don't even have a place to complain after being beaten up. Watch the show, watch the show. Let's just quietly watch the show. I'll ask again, which one of you is Duan Ingjuan's friend?" Duan Ingwe said coldly. The three disciples of the divine dragon manor slowly surrounded Ning Qi and the other two, as though they were preventing them from escaping. The two young men looked at each other and pointed at Ning Qi in unison. It's him. Just as we were talking about that beast, Duan Ingjun, he purposely came over and thought that Duan Ingjun might have been framed by someone. Brother Duan, this matter has nothing to do with us. You also know that it's impossible for us to be Duan Ingjun's friends. The two of them were also disciples of small clans in the capital. They were all in similar circles and would often meet each other. Therefore, they did have some understanding of their own social circles. Hearing this, Duan Ingwe nodded. Scram. Yes, sir. Although the two of them had ugly expressions, they still tactfully stood up and left. Then, Duan Ingwe looked at Ning Qi coldly. You're Duan Ingjuan's friend? Ning Qi sized up Duan Ingwe, smiled and nodded. That's right, I'm his friend. He calls me boss in the Cloud Rising sect. Boss? Perhaps because he didn't expect Ning Qi to actually dare to admit it in front of him, Duan Ingwe's face immediately fell. His killing intent instantly locked onto Ning Qi. Since you're the friend of this beast, you're definitely not a good person. While I'm in a good mood today, scram out of the capital. Otherwise, I won't be polite. Why aren't you scramming after hearing Brother Ingwe's words? What are you still standing there for? Are you courting death? Duan Ingwe's three lackeys immediately berated Ning Qi. You guys, don't cause trouble in my Cloud Mist restaurant. At this moment, a woman walked over under the guidance of a waiter. She didn't give Duan Ingwe any face and directly berated him. She had an extremely beautiful face with an indescribable temperament. Her delicate skin was fair and rosy, and there was a faint blush on her pink cheeks. Under her long and thick eyelashes, there was a pair of cold eyes, which formed a sharp contrast with her temperament. Ding Ling, I'll give you face. Let's go. After seeing this woman, Duan Ingwe's expression changed slightly. He looked deeply at Ning Qi, then decisively led his three lackeys downstairs and left. And you? Ding Ling looked at Ning Qi indifferently. Ning Qi smiled slightly. I'll leave. After saying this, he also followed her downstairs and left. Ding Ling? Surnamed Ding? Even Duan Ingwe has to give him face. He should be from the Ding clan of the 9 superclans, right? Ning Qi muttered in his heart. Chapter 404. Potions. Ning Qi glanced at Duan Ingwe and revealed his white teeth. He grinned and walked out of the capital. Cousin Ingwe, he actually dares to provoke you. This brat is too arrogant, and he's even Duan Ingjuan's friend. How can we not teach him a lesson? Right, we should give him a good beating, or directly cripple his cultivation. Duan Ingwe listened to the words of his 3 lackeys and looked at Ning Qi's back. His eyes were incomparably cold as he sneered and said, Let's go. We can't make a move in the capital. We'll deal with him outside. Ning Qi felt that a few gazes seemed to be lingering on him from behind. The corner of his mouth curled up slightly. At the same time, he began to search the dragon-slaying mall to see if there were any goods that could help in this matter. Low-grade profound rank soul search pill. It can directly view a person's memories, limited to those below the Dozong realm. After searching the soul, the other party's soul will become damaged, no different from a living dead person. Price, 50,000 dragon-slaying coins. This was useful, but putting aside the price, Ning Qi could not accept it. Just the side effects were a little overbearing, and he did not know if Duan Ingwe was a victim or a participant in this matter. If he used the soul search pill on him and found out that he did not participate in framing Duan Ingjun, then he would not be able to explain himself to the Divine Dragon Marquis Mansion. Let's see. Ning Qi continued to search and found all kinds of pills and tools that could help him in his current situation. However, it was either the price was too high for him to bear, or he couldn't afford it at all, or the side effects were a little abnormal. Magic type. Potion truth-telling potion. 3 drops can allow a person to reveal the secrets hidden in their hearts. The amount used depends on the other party's cultivation. 1 drop price, 100 dragon slaying coins. This thing seems to be useful. That's right, isn't this the potion refined by the wizard in Harry Potter? The system even collected this, it's a little awesome. Ning-Chi was slightly delighted. At this time, he had already left the capital and flew for another 700 to 800 kilometers before stopping. 3 breaths later, 4 streams of light rushed over from behind and surrounded Ning-Chi. You know you can't escape, right? If you kneel down and kowtow to me now, I'll be in a good mood. Maybe I won't mind that you're a friend of that beast Duan Ingjun and let you go. Duan Ingui looked at Ning-Chi and smiled faintly. In his eyes, Ning-Chi was merely a peak Do Wang. He could deal with him with one hand. His 3 lackeys all laughed. In the capital, everyone's status was not low. They could only find some sense of accomplishment and pleasure from these outsiders to vent the anger in their hearts. 6 breaths, Ning-Chi muttered to himself. His voice was too soft, so Duan Ingui and the others couldn't hear him clearly. Duan Ingui frowned and said, "What did you say? What 6 breaths? I only need 6 breaths to defeat you." Ning-Chi smiled slightly and threw 3 palms toward the 3 Do Wangs. Due to the close distance between both parties, the 3 of them did not have the time to react. They were thrown to the ground by the 6 silver dragons and were seriously injured. Only 2 breaths of time had passed. Duan Ingui was shocked. What kind of martial skill is this? It's so powerful. 4 more breaths. Ning-Chi looked at him and smiled. Humph, arrogant. Duan Ingui was so angry that he laughed. So what if he had defeated 3 Do Wangs? He was a 2-star Do Huang and came from the 9-state empire's divine dragon marquee mansion. In a remote place, it would not be a problem for him to fight a 3 or 4-star Do Huang. Therefore, he laughed sinisterly and attacked Ning-Chi. Now, it was not as simple as teaching Ning-Chi a lesson. I will cripple your cultivation and see if you can still be so arrogant. 18 dragons subduing palms. Puff puff puff. Ning-Chi threw 3 consecutive palms at him. Each palm was stronger than the one before. The incomparably violent dragon slaying Do-Chi and the godly martial skill 18 dragon subduing palms directly slapped Duan Ingui into a retard. His attack did not have the slightest effect on Ning-Chi and was directly submerged in the Dragon Sea. After being hit 3 times, his body fell beside his 3 lackeys with a loud bang. Really, only 6 breaths. Duan Ingui struggled to sit up as he looked at Ning-Chi, who was looking down at him from above in shock. A black glass bottle appeared in Ning-Chi's hand. It was about the size of a palm, and inside it was the truth serum. It was black and was still bubbling. There was a total of 100 drops, and it cost Ning-Chi 10,000 dragon slaying coins. What are you trying to do? Seeing that Ning-Chi seemed to be about to feed him that unknown potion, Duan Ingui's face revealed a terrified expression. His 3 lackeys struggled to stay away from Ning-Chi. From their point of view, Ning-Chi was probably one of those evil experts who cultivated demonic arts. I am a disciple of the divine dragon marquee mansion. If you dare to treat me like this, my father and the elders will not let you off. Seeing that Ning-Chi was getting closer and closer to him, Duan Ingui's face twisted in fear. He was a disciple of the divine dragon marquee mansion, a 2-star Do Huang. No matter where he went, he would be able to live a life that everyone envied. How could he die here like this? Still talking nonsense. Ning-Chi slapped him on the face and then forcefully fed him a drop of the truth serum. After that, he carefully looked at Duan Ingui to see what reaction he had. After the drop of truth serum entered Duan Ingui's mouth, he immediately felt his head spin. What's your name? Ning-Chi asked. Duan Ingui's face revealed a struggling expression. Looks like the medicine isn't effective enough. Give me another drop. Ning Qi fed him another drop of blood. What's your name? This time, Duan Yinggui's expression became incomparably wooden. He said indifferently, My name is Duan Yingui. What's wrong with cousin Yingui? What did this guy feed him? The fear on the faces of the three divine dragon marquis mansions Do Wang dissipated quite a bit. However, there was an additional trace of doubt. This was because they realized that the potion Ning Qi fed Duan Yingui did not seem to harm him. What's your wife's name? Ning Qi continued to ask. My wife's name is Yenshue Ling. Duan Yingui said woodenly. Do you like Duan Yingjun? Ning Qi changed the topic. I don't like him. He's very dirty. He's a lowly servant. He's a bastard, Duan Yingui said woodenly. Hearing this, a trace of killing intent flashed across Ning Qi's eyes. Cousin Yingui, what's wrong with you? Seeing that Duan Yingui seemed to have said something he shouldn't have, the three of them opened their mouths to remind him in panic. At this moment, Duan Yingui heard their voices and his expression clearly began to struggle. It seemed that because of their reminder, the effect of the truth serum began to decrease. Damn it, wasting my Dragon Slayer coins. Chapter 405. Chapter 405 Antiro Diucito and the facts of the matter. Tell me, did you instigate the incident with Duan Yingjun? Ning Qi asked. No. Duan Yingui said blankly. Ning Qi's expression changed slightly. Could it really have nothing to do with him? Does framing Duan Yingjun have anything to do with you? Ning Qi continued asking. Yes. Duan Yingui said blankly. Ning Qi's face revealed a trace of joy. Tell me the ins and outs of this matter. Duan Yingui's expression began to struggle again. Without hesitation, Ning Qi fed him 3 drops of the truth serum. Only then did he begin to slowly narrate his story. The more Ning Qi listened, the darker his expression became. So Hua Wushang's shadow was behind this matter. Some time ago, the various great clans of the 9 regions empire summoned back the disciples of the side branches who were cultivating outside and had them compete. Originally, the Divine Dragon Marquis Mansion planned to let Duan Feifei or Duan Tianying return, but Duan Tianying used some unknown method to get them to call Duan Feifei. At that time, Feifei was on a mission. In the end, Duan Yingjun took the initiative to replace her as one of the candidates for the competition. Just like that, Duan Yingjun became the representative of the Divine Dragon Marquis Palace in the Cloud Rising sect. After that, Hua Shi personally sent Duan Yingjun back and contacted a good friend of his in the Divine Dragon Manor. That good friend was none other than Duan Yingui's uncle, and also Duan Yingjun's father's younger brother, Duan Shoujuan. It was unknown what kind of deal they made between the two of them, but Duan Shoujuan later found Duan Yingui and privately promised a considerable amount of training resources to Duan Yingui. He asked his wife, Yenshue Ling, to come out and put on a show. Duan Yingui was at the bottleneck of a 2-star Do Huang and really needed this batch of training resources. He also hated Duan Yingjun, so he straightforwardly agreed. After that, the rumors that followed were similar to what the outside world knew. Ning Qi thought of a crucial question and frowned. How did you guys control Duan Yingjun to make him do such a thing? The desire parasite of the 5 poison divine sect is colorless and odorless. It will automatically disappear within the host's body. Even a Do Xing would have difficulty detecting it. Duan Yingui said blankly. At this moment, Duan Yingui's expression suddenly sobered up. He remembered what he had said to Ning Qi, and a look of horror appeared on his face. What did you do to me? What are you afraid of? Why weren't you afraid when you framed your own brother? Ning Qi smiled. I didn't frame him, Duan Yingui said angrily. I believe that in the entire Divine Dragon Manor, there should be a few rather upright elders, right? I'll take you to confront them. Ning Qi smiled. I advise you not to meddle in this matter. If you go to the Divine Dragon Manor, I'm afraid you won't be able to leave. Hearing this, Duan Ingwe finally felt some fear. He was afraid that things would be exposed, so he threatened Ning Qi. Your Divine Dragon Marquee Mansion is not strong enough for me, Ning Qi, to not dare to investigate. What's more, I'm still in the right. Ning Qi laughed wildly and slapped Duan Ingwe unconscious. Then, he carried him and flew towards the capital. Master, thank you for being willing to help. Duan Feifei and Xia Bing flew towards the capital together. When they were about to reach the city gates, the two of them landed on the ground. Duan Feifei thanked Xia Bing softly. Last time, Xia Bing had already appeared, but unfortunately, it was to no avail. Unexpectedly, this time, she actually took the initiative to ask Duan Feifei to bring her to the Divine Dragon Manor, saying that she wanted to talk about Duan Ingjun again. There's no need to thank me. Duan Ingjun is also my disciple. Xia Bing said indifferently. Duan Ingjun is really blind. He was so close to Ning Qi before, but now that something has happened to him, Ning Qi is trying to shirk responsibility. Duan Feifei could not help but complain. Maybe, he really does have something to do. Xia Bing's eyes moved slightly as she said. Duan Feifei clearly did not accept this explanation, but seeing that Xia Bing did not seem to want to talk about it, she shut her mouth and followed Xia Bing to the city gate. Halt! Who is this in your hand? When the guards saw Ning Qi carrying Duan Ingwe, they asked sternly. At the same time, they all took a defensive stance. He's a disciple of the Divine Dragon Manor. He's injured, so I want to send him back. Ning Qi smiled faintly. Divine Dragon Manor? The expressions of the guards improved a lot. After going forward to check, they realized that Duan Ingwe indeed had the jade pendant of the Divine Dragon Manor on him, so they prepared to let him go. At this time, Xia Bing and Duan Feifei also recognized Ning Qi, and their faces revealed looks of surprise. Why was he here? Ning Qi entered the city, but before he could take a few steps, he was stopped by Xia Bing and Duan Feifei. Elder Xia Bing, junior sister Duan, why are you here? When Ning Qi saw the two of them, he was also a little surprised. He's Duan Ingwe? When Duan Feifei heard that this person was a disciple of the Divine Dragon Manor, she specially paid more attention to him. When she saw his appearance, she almost cried out in alarm. Wasn't Duan Ingjun arrested because he tried to rape Duan Ingwe's wife? And now, Duan Ingwe was unconscious in Ning Qi's hands? Could it be? Duan Feifei's heart quivered. She immediately understood that she seemed to have misunderstood Ning Qi. However, this method could not save Duan Ingjun. Duan Ingwe? Xia Bing frowned and glanced at him, then said to Ning Qi in a low voice, "What are you thinking? You want to use him to threaten the Divine Dragon Manor to release Duan Ingjun? Do you know that this action will cause a war between the Divine Dragon Manor and the Cloud Rising sect? That's right, Senior Brother Ning, quickly let him go. If you do this, not only will you not be able to save Duan Ingjun, you will also make us very passive." Duan Feifei said anxiously. Ning Qi smiled slightly. Elder Xia Bing, junior sister Duan, I have my own methods. I should have a 70 to 80% chance of saving Fatty Duan. It's good that you guys are here. Come with me, you can also be a witness. What? He had a 70 to 80% chance of saving Duan Ingjun? The two girls were slightly startled, doubting whether what Ning Qi said was true or not. Martial nephew Ning, is what you said true? Xia Bing frowned slightly. What good will it do for me to lie to you? The corner of Ning Qi's mouth curled up slightly. With a chuckle, he directly walked in the direction of the Divine Dragon Manor. Seeing this, Xia Bing and Duan Feifei looked at each other, but in the end, they still followed. Xia Bing thought to herself that if the Divine Dragon Manor was enraged because of Duan Ingwe, she had to at least protect Ning Qi. Otherwise, if Ning Qi was also suppressed, then to the Cloud Rising sect, it would be a greater loss than 10 Duan Ingjun. Divine Dragon Manor. At the gate, the two disciples guarding the gate frowned slightly when they saw a few people walking over from afar. It's Duan Feifei and her master, Xiaobing. What are they doing here? Wait, who is that young man? The one in his hand is Duan Yingui, right? When they realized that Duan Yingui's life or death was unknown and was being carried by the young man at the front, their expressions changed drastically. Chapter 406. Threatening on the Street. Chapter 406. Stop right there. What did you do to Duan Yingui? The disciples of the Divine Dragon Marquis estate shouted. Him? He's still alive. Get the people in charge out here. I want to sue Duan Yingui for raping my sow, Ningqi said with a smile. Raping your sow? This brat, the corner of Xiaobing's mouth curled up slightly. She almost burst out laughing. Duan Feifei, on the other hand, was dumbfounded. The disciples were stunned for a moment. Then, they realized that Ningqi was messing with them. They flew into a rage out of humiliation and attacked Ningqi. However, they were defeated by Ningqi in 2 moves. They looked at Ningqi in shock. They could not understand how he could defeat them so easily when he was only a peak Do Wang. Wait, it's you. One of them looked at Ningqi, and his expression changed from shock to horror. The last time Ningqi and Duan Minglong fought, he just happened to be present, but he didn't recognize Ningqi at first. Only now did he recognize him. Two sirs, this is a misunderstanding. We have come here because of Duan Yingjuan's matter. We wish to meet Elder Duan Shoujuan. Duan Feifei stepped forward and said, It's not a problem if you want to see Elder Duan Shoujuan. However, we don't know if Duan Yingui is dead or alive. It's an insult to the Divine Dragon Marquis estate. Duan Feifei, if you're still a disciple of the Divine Dragon Marquis estate, you shouldn't stand on his side. The disciple said unhappily. At the same time, he looked at Ningqi with fear. What's happening up ahead? Duan Juntian and his brothers went out to complete a mission and were about to return to the Marquis estate. When they were about to reach, they saw Xiaobing and the others. Duan Juntian asked curiously. It's Ningqi. Duan Juanhong's expression changed slightly. It's him. Why is he here again? A trace of fear flashed across Duan Juantian's eyes. The scene of Ningqi defeating Duan Minglong previously brought him great shock and pressure. Duan Juntian felt a stabbing pain in his heart when he thought about how an ant-like existence now had a higher cultivation base than him. What's going on here? Duan Juntian took a deep breath and walked to the door with his 2 brothers. He looked at Ningqi and the others and said, Duan Juntian, it's you 3 brothers. Long time no see. Where's Miss Ling Mei? Why isn't he with you? Ningqi smiled. Duan Juantian's expression darkened when he heard this. *CKU. It's none of your business whether Duan Ling Mei is with me or not. Of course, he didn't dare to say this out loud. He only dared to curse in his heart. They know each other? Duan Feifei was puzzled. Duan Juntian quickly informed the elders that the Cloud Rising sect is causing trouble again because of that animal, Duan Yingjun. The gatekeeping disciple said to Duan Juntian, Oh? Is it because of Duan Yingjun? A hint of joy flashed across Duan Juantian's face. This matter involved a lot of people. If Ningqi came to make trouble because of this matter, it was very likely that he could suppress Ningqi as well. Thinking of this, his eyes suddenly swept over Duan Yingui's face in Ningqi's hand, and he was shocked. Even Duan Yingui was taken down by him? After the initial shock, Duan Juntian was ecstatic. Ningqi, oh Ningqi, you still haven't died this time? You actually want to use Duan Yingui to threaten my Divine Dragon Manor? Alright, I'll inform the elders now. Duan Juntian nodded. After glancing at Ningqi, the 3 of them quickly entered the Divine Dragon Manor to inform the elders. All of you wait here. The elders have the final say on whether you're allowed in or not. The gatekeeping disciple heaved a sigh of relief and berated Ning Qi and the other two coldly. At the same time, they also specially observed Duan Yinggui's condition. After discovering that he had only fainted, they were even more certain. Ning Qi, are you really confident? Xia Bing transmitted her voice. Ning Qi merely nodded slightly. Xia Bing felt a little more at ease when she saw this. She had some understanding of Ning Qi's character. He didn't seem like someone who liked to boast. Ever since the outer court disciple selection, he had always been very outstanding. Moreover, he had a good relationship with that person from the Heaven Prophet Academy. When Xia Bing thought of this, she seemed to feel that the outcome this time would be different from the previous time. It was very likely that she would be able to get Duan Yingjun out. About 10 minutes later. Who is it? How dare you cause trouble in my divine dragon manor? An angry shout was heard. The gatekeeping disciple immediately looked towards the door respectfully. Greetings, Elder Duan Shoujuan. Duan Juntian and the others followed a large group of people and walked out of the door under the lead of a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 40s. The middle-aged man in the lead was Duan Yingjuan's uncle, Duan Shoujuan. Duan Shoujuan first swept a glance at Duan Yingui. Because he already knew about it beforehand, he wasn't too surprised. After that, he looked coldly at Xia Bing. In his eyes, Xia Bing was the mastermind of this matter. Otherwise, how could a Peak Do Wang dare to be so arrogant? Xia Bing, Elder Xia, I've already made it very clear to you last time. Duan Yingjun will be dealt with by my Divine Dragon Manor's Duan clan. If you still want to take him away today, please leave. However, he changed the topic and looked at Ning Qi. This brat must stay in my Divine Dragon Manor to be punished. Is the disciple of my Duan clan someone you can easily insult? Put Duan Yingui down. Elder Duan Shoujuan, this matter is a misunderstanding. Duan Feifei was only halfway through her sentence when Duan Shoujuan reprimanded her sternly. Shut up. To think that you're a member of the Duan clan. Duan Feifei was shocked. She quickly shut her mouth and did not dare to speak anymore. Xia Bing looked at Ning Qi, obviously waiting for him to speak. Duan Shoujuan, Elder Duan, right? The corner of Ning Qi's mouth curled up into a mocking smile. This old fellow's acting was quite good. He looked righteous, but he was actually a hypocrite who would even frame his own nephew. You have no right to speak to me. Someone, bring Duan Yingui here. If anything happens to him, your Cloud Rising sect must have an elder in green come out and give me an explanation. Duan Shoujuan looked at Ning Qi mockingly and snorted coldly. Yes, elder. A smile appeared on Duan Juntian's face as he walked toward Ning Qi. It was obvious that he planned to bring Duan Yingui away. With Duan Shoujuan's support, he was not afraid of Ning Qi at all. Duan Shoujuan, I already have concrete evidence that you conspired with Hua Shiri to frame Duan Yingjun. Are you still going to feign ignorance in front of me? Do you believe that I'll let the entire capital know about your shameful deeds? Ning Qi smirked. The moment these words left his mouth, everyone present, including Duan Shoujuan himself, was shocked. He said Duan Shoujuan conspired with Hua Shiri to frame Duan Yingjun? Xia Bing frowned slightly. Duan Juntian stopped in his tracks and stood rooted to the ground. He did not know what to do. What did you say? A violent killing intent erupted from Duan Shoujuan's body. Chapter 407. Old beast, Xia Bing, what do you mean? You brought people from your sect to slander me? Do you think you can bring Duan Yingjun back just like that? Duan Shoujuan shouted. A disciple of my Cloud Rising sect would not simply accuse someone. Since he said that he has evidence, then he has evidence. Elder Duan Shoujuan, if you are not guilty, why don't you let him finish speaking? Xia Bing refused to be outdone. Duan Feifei was shocked. Why would Ning Qi say that Duan Shoujuan was involved in framing Duan Yingjun? He was Duan Yingjuan's uncle. At this time, Duan Yingwei slowly woke up and discovered that he had appeared at the entrance of the Divine Dragon Manor. Duan Shoujuan was also there, and he immediately shouted anxiously, "Uncle, save me!" Pa. Ning Qi took the opportunity to knock on his neck, and Duan Yingwei fainted again. At this time, more and more people noticed the situation here and gradually gathered. Duan Shoujuan knew that the people in the capital had nothing better to do, so they gossiped behind their backs. Once a piece of news reached their mouths, it would spread like wildfire in less than half a day. Thinking of this, Duan Shoujuan glanced at Ning Qi coldly and said to Xiaobing, "All right, I'll give you a chance. Come in." As he finished speaking, he turned around and walked into the manor. Duan Juntian looked at Ning Qi awkwardly before he lowered his head and followed Duan Shoujuan. "Senior apprentice brother Ning, what you just said, is it true? Why would elder Duan Shoujuan frame Duan Yingjun? You don't know, he is," Duan Feifei said in a low voice. Halfway through her words, Ning Qi interrupted, "I know, he's Duan Yingjuan's uncle." "Do you know you're still?" Duan Feifei didn't finish her sentence, because Ning Qi had already nodded to Xiaobing and walked towards the Divine Dragon Manor. Seeing this, Duan Feifei hesitated for a moment, but still followed. If Ning Qi framed Duan Shoujuan for no reason today, and did not have any concrete evidence to prove that Duan Shoujuan was related to Duan Yingjun, then even she would not be able to walk out of the Divine Dragon Manor. Divine Dragon Marquis Palace. In the courtyard of the 7th house. Along the way, many disciples of the Marquis's residence were shocked to see Duan Yingwei being carried by Ning Qi. When they saw Xia Bing and Duan Feifei, they immediately thought that it was probably because of Duan Yingjuan's attempt to rape his sister-in-law. They also wanted to join in the fun, but they were repelled by Duan Shoujuan's gaze. At this moment, in the courtyard of the 7th branch, Ning Qi stood in front of a large group of disciples that belonged to the 7th branch. Their eyes swept up and down Ning Qi's body in an extremely unfriendly manner. If it weren't for Duan Shoujuan, they would have already attacked Ning Qi. At this time, a middle-aged man rushed over. Looking at his appearance, he looked similar to Duan Shoujuan, and his aura was even more profound than Duan Shoujuan's. He was Duan Yingjuan's biological father, the decision-maker of the 7th branch, Duan Shouheng. Beside him was a beautiful middle-aged woman who looked very similar to Duan Yingwei. She was probably Duan Yingwei's birth mother. In addition, behind the two of them, there were 7 or 8 similar-looking middle-aged men rushing over. Each of them was followed by a group of young people. At the very least, there were more than 200 people gathered in the courtyard of the 7th branch. They surrounded Ning Qi. Duan Feifei was a little frightened. However, Ning Qi and Xiaobing appeared very calm. Yingwei. When the beautiful woman saw Duan Yingwei in Ning Qi's hand, she immediately frowned and shouted sternly. Without any explanation, she directly attacked Ning Qi. Her cultivation was only that of a 5-star Do Huang, so Ning Qi naturally did not care about her. He was prepared to wait for her to come closer before giving her a 18 dragon subduing palms. At this moment, Xiaobing made her move. With a flick of her finger, the middle-aged woman flew back instantly and was caught by Duan Shouheng. "Xiaobing, what is the meaning of this? Are you capturing Yingwei to threaten me because of that unfilial son, Duan Yingjun?" Duan Shouheng looked coldly at Xiaobing. "Master, we don't know if Yingwei is dead or alive. Quickly take down these traitors." After the middle-aged woman landed, she immediately said anxiously, "Don't be anxious." Duan Shouheng comforted her and then looked at Xiaobing, obviously wanting her to give an explanation. At this moment, Duan Shoujuan's eyes rolled and he said to Duan Shouheng, "Big brother, don't waste your breath on them. They are here today to smear our 7th branch." "Oh!" Duan Shouheng's eyes revealed a trace of doubt. "Ning Qi explained to them. Xiaobing said to Ning Qi plainly. Ning Qi nodded and looked at Duan Shoheng. Senior, are you Duan Ingjuan's father? I don't have such an unfilial son. Who are you? Put my son down and we'll talk, Duan Shoheng said coldly. He, a trace of mockery flashed in Ning Qi's eyes. He then glanced at the crowd and seemed to not notice Duan Ingwe's wife, Yanxue Ling. He looked at Duan Shoheng and said, I'm here today for a simple reason. I want to prove that Duan Ingjun is innocent. Senior, please let Yanxue Ling out. I can only present the evidence when the person involved is present. What? He said that Duan Ingjun is innocent. Could it be that all of us are blind? Damn it, the Cloud Rising sect is too much. Yes, Duan Ingjun did such a beastly thing not long after he went to the Cloud Rising sect. Now, they even dare to capture Duan Ingwe to threaten us. Kill them! Kill them! Kill! The crowd was in an uproar when they heard this. Hundreds of murderous intents gathered and looked at Ning Qi and the rest with a murderous look. Duan Feifei felt a layer of cold sweat appear on his back. Even Xia Bing frowned slightly. If the other party attacked directly, she could only protect herself at most. Ning Qi would be in danger. Are you guys trying to silence me? Ning Qi bellowed. His voice spread across the entire place with the help of his fighting energy. Duan Shoheng slowly raised his hand and pressed down in the void. The crowd's voices stopped abruptly. Then, he looked at Ning Qi coldly. I don't care what relationship you have with that beast. I'll ignore your nonsense for the sake of the Cloud Rising sect. However, if Ingwe is injured in any way, I'll make you pay tenfold. Little bastard! Let go of my son! The middle-aged beauty looked at Ning Qi and shouted. Her gaze was like a sword that pierced deep into Ning Qi's heart. I'm babbling nonsense? Ha ha ha, I didn't expect the people of the Divine Dragon Marquis's residence to be so muddle-headed. They don't even know that their own son has been framed. They even think that he's a beast. If he's a beast, aren't you an old beast? Ning Qi laughed maniacally. How dare you? Duan Shoujuan shouted angrily. Seeing that Duan Shoheng was present, he directly attacked Ning Qi because he knew that even if Xia Bing attacked, Duan Shoheng would help him block it. Now, he just had to slap Ning Qi to death, and this matter would be over. I don't know how Hua Shiri leaked the news. I only know that you can die. Chapter 408. Chapter 408. Duan Hixia Bing's eyes flashed with anger when she saw Duan Shoujuan attacking again. She was just about to stop him when Duan Shoheng suddenly locked onto her aura. In that instant, she was a step too slow. She could only watch helplessly as Duan Shoujuan attacked Ning Qi. Ha ha ha, this is great. He's dead for sure. The three Duan Juntian brothers were ecstatic. 18 subduing dragon palms. An extremely firm and yang aura instantly exuded from Ning Qi's palms. Boom. Ning Qi took 3 to 4 steps back and rolled 7 to 8 times on the ground, dissipating the terrifying force from Duan Shoujuan's palm. Duan Shoujuan did not feel good either. He took a step back and felt his palms go numb. Shock flashed in his eyes as he looked at Ning Qi. What's going on? Did Elder Duan Shoujuan show mercy? How is this possible? The three Duan Juntian brothers looked at Ning Qi in shock. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Only a few people knew that Duan Shoujuan did not show mercy at all. Therefore, their eyes were filled with shock when they looked at Ning Qi. Duan Feifei looked at Ning Qi in shock. In her heart, Ndo Zong was invincible. No matter how talented Ning Qi was, he could not possibly be a match for Ndo Zong. However, this scene had completely overturned her understanding of a peak Do Wang. Xia Bing's eyes flashed with joy. In the next second, she stood in front of Ning Qi and looked at Duan Shoheng and Duan Shoujuan coldly. Your Duan clan tried to kill a disciple of my Cloud Rising sect without any reason. Do you know that he's favored by Meng Qingling, the lampholder elder of my cloud-rising sex, withering bones forbidden ground? What? He's favored by Elder Meng Qingling? Duan Shoheng was shocked. He naturally knew about the 4 lampholder elders of the cloud-rising sect. After all, they had existed for many years, especially Elder Meng Qingling of the Withering Bones Forbidden Ground. Almost everyone in Dongxian knew about her due to the Withering Bones Forbidden Ground. She was an old demon who had lived for more than 1,000 years. Even among the Doshings, he was not a weak existence. With this child's talent, to be able to exchange a palm strike with fourth brother without being injured, he is indeed no different from a genius. Although his cultivation is weaker than the 4 great geniuses of my divine dragon marquis palace, it is impossible for any of them to exchange a palm strike with fourth brother. In that case, Xia Bing did not lie to me. Thinking of this, Duan Shoheng's expression became more and more solemn. A trace of fear flashed in Duan Shoujuan's eyes. If Xia Bing wasn't lying and Ning Qi was favored by Meng Qingling, could it be that he had personally invited Meng Qingling, which was why he knew the truth? Panic rose from the bottom of his heart. However, he immediately reacted. Even if Ning Qi knew the truth, he did not have any evidence. That desire goo was colorless and odorless. It would disappear within one's body after it flared up. Even a Doshing would not be able to find any traces on Duan Ingjuan's body. Ning Qi was also a little surprised that Xia Bing would bring up Meng Qingling. However, it seemed to be quite useful. He smiled slightly, looked at Duan Shoheng and said, "Are you willing to call Duan Yinggui's wife, Yan Shuiling, over and confront her face to face? It's so lively here. Who is the person favored by Elder Meng? Why isn't he a disciple of Elder Meng?" An indifferent voice came from the sky. With a flash of light, an old man appeared. This old man's appearance was extremely strange. His eyebrows were connected together and his expression was solemn. He was curiously sizing up Ning Qi. "It's a Do Zun." Ning Qi's eyes were slightly fearful. He was not afraid of a Do Zong and was confident that he could protect himself. However, facing a Do Zun, he was afraid that he would not even be able to last one move. "First Elder." Everyone, including Duan Shoheng's brothers and his wife, respectfully bowed to the old man. This old man was the leader of the 3 great elders of the Divine Dragon Marquis Palace, a 4-star Do Zun, Duan He. At the same time, he was also the younger brother of the current Divine Dragon Marquis. In the Divine Dragon Marquis Palace, his cultivation was only slightly weaker than Divine Dragon Marquis Duan Hu. When Duan Shoujuan saw him appear, he bowed and lowered his head. A trace of uneasiness flashed in his eyes. "Xia Bing greets Elder Duan He." Xia Bing bowed slightly respectfully. "Yes, you and I know who this kid is. You said that he is the person favored by Elder Meng?" Duan He's gaze remained on Ning Qi. "That's right." Xia Bing nodded. "Back then, I wanted to be a disciple of Elder Meng, but she thought that I was not talented enough and refused to accept me. What's so special about this kid that Elder Meng favors him?" Duan He smiled slightly. "I'm afraid we'll have to ask Elder Meng about this," Xia Bing said indifferently. "Haha, if I have the chance to go to the Cloud Rising sect, I will indeed ask. However, what's going on today?" Duan He smiled and glanced at the crowd. His gaze lingered on Duan Yingui, who was in Ning Qi's hand, for a full breath's time. Then, his figure moved. Before Ning Qi could even react, Duan Yingui had already appeared in Duan He's hand. A hint of surprise flashed in the middle-aged beautiful woman's eyes. She hurriedly went forward to check on Duan Yingui's injuries and found that he had only fainted and suffered some internal injuries. Only then did she breathe a sigh of relief. A stream of Do Qi entered Duan Yingui's body. Duan Yingui slowly woke up and realized that he had escaped from Ning Qi's clutches. His face was filled with ecstasy, and he shouted at Ning Qi, "Quick, take him down! He wants to frame me!" If Duan He had not appeared, perhaps everyone would have attacked Ning Qi with his shout. However, now that Duan He was present, the sovereignty was obviously no longer in Duan Shoheng's hands. I heard from my disciple that you want to frame him? If that's true, even if Elder Meng favors you, according to the rules of the Divine Dragon Marquis Palace, you can't leave this place easily. Duan He smiled at Ning Qi. Ning Qi smiled and said, Senior Duan, you seem to be a reasonable person. You didn't attack us the moment you arrived. Obviously, you have to be the judge for today's matter. Tell me about it? Seeing that Ning Qi was neither servile nor overbearing, Duan He believed Xia Bing's words a little. This made him extremely interested in Ning Qi. What was so special about him that he could win Xia Bing's favor? Being rejected by Meng Qingling had always been a pain in his heart. Ning Qi recounted the matter. During this period, the disciples of the seventh branch scolded Ning Qi for being shameless, for coming to clear the name of the beast, and even framing Duan Yingui and Duan Shoujuan. However, after Duan He swept a cold glance at them, these people all shut their mouth. Do you have any evidence for what you said? Duan He said lightly. Of course I have evidence. I hope Senior Duan can call Yenshui Ling over. Ning Qi said. All right. Duan He nodded and looked at Duan Shoheng. Go and bring your wife here. Yes. Duan Shoheng nodded respectfully and turned to leave. Not long after, he brought a beautiful woman with a trace of uneasiness and fear on her face. Chapter 409. Test Subject. Duan Juntian, I've brought him here. Duan Shoheng looked at Ning Qi coldly. Little friend, can you show me your evidence now? Duan He looked at Ning Qi with a faint smile. Grand Elder, this kid is just spouting nonsense. He just wants to save that beast, Duan Yingjun. Duan Shoujuan said sternly. That's right, Grand Elder. He just injured me and wants me to release Duan Yingjun. If I don't obey, he'll kill me. Duan Yingui quickly said. Everyone looked at Ning Qi with righteous indignation when they heard that. Does senior brother Ning really have evidence? If not, how are we going to resolve this matter today? Duan Feifei suddenly felt a hint of regret. If he knew this would happen, he would not have told Ning Qi about this. If Xia Bing stepped forward, Duan Yingjun might still have a chance to live. Don't say anything. Ask him to show me the evidence. If it's just empty words, I won't ignore it. However, if he really has evidence to prove that someone is framing his disciple, I won't ignore it. Otherwise, how can the Divine Dragon Marquis estate maintain its foothold in the capital? Duan He shouted coldly. Duan Shoujuan could only shut his mouth when he heard that. However, he was still very confident that Ning Qi would not be able to produce any evidence. However, Duan Yingui felt extreme fear. Senior Duan, I have a potion here that can make people spill all their secrets with just 3 or 4 drops. I've already used some on Duan Yingui. I wonder if Senior would like to hear what he has to say? Ning Qi smiled as he took out the truth serum. Potion? 3 or 4 drops can make people spill all their secrets. This is his evidence? Everyone frowned, then looked at Ning Qi with a mocking expression. After all, Dongxian had all sorts of bewitching drugs. Most people had seen this drug before, using its effects to bewitch people and make them say what they wanted to hear. This is the evidence he's talking about? Xia Bing's expression immediately turned ugly. She was already prepared and looked at him warily. No matter what, she had to protect Ning Qi today. It's over. Duan Feifei smiled bitterly. Ha ha ha, he's dead meat. He wants to use an unknown potion as evidence? Duan Juntian and his 2 brothers laughed inwardly. They looked at Ning Qi gloatingly. So that's how it is. No wonder he's so confident. It seems like everything he knew before wasn't revealed by Hua Shiri, but by Duan Yingui. Duan Shoujuan suddenly came to a realization. Immediately after, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly, revealing a confident smile. Even if this medicine was really useful, Duan he would not allow Ningqi to give it to the disciples of the Divine Dragon Marquis Mansion. Duan Ingwe's face revealed a look of horror. He had personally experienced the terrifying effects of the medicine before. Now that Ningqi had taken it out again, he felt that the sky was about to collapse. If everyone knew that he had collaborated with Duan Shoujuan to frame Duan Ingjun, not to mention how Duan Shoheng would punish him, the family rule of not killing each other was enough to make him take Duan Ingjuan's place in prison. Duan he glanced indifferently at the magic bottle in Ning Qi's hand, then shook his head and said indifferently, "This kind of thing can't be used as evidence. If you want, I can find at least 10 kinds for you right now. After you consume it, what you say may not be the truth. Do you have any other evidence? If not, send a message back and have the Elder Qing Yi personally come and take you away." Hearing this, Duan Ingwe's face revealed a look of ecstasy. That's right. The clan would never allow their own disciples to consume this kind of unknown medicine. His worries were completely unnecessary. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but hold Yanshui Ling's hand tightly and look at Ning Qi gloatingly. The matter is already very clear. He came to slander my son for no reason. Great Elder, this matter must be dealt with severely. Otherwise, how can we display the dignity of our Divine Dragon Marquis Mansion? If any random sect disciple dares to insult us like this, how can our Divine Dragon Marquis Mansion still have any face in the capital in the future? The beautiful middle-aged woman said sternly as she looked at Ning Qi coldly. She wished that she could tear him into pieces. Duan Shoheng remained silent and nodded slightly. "Senior Duan, you can naturally test whether what you say is true or not. This medicine is definitely not an ordinary bewitching medicine. Don't tell me that Senior Duan doesn't want to know why Duan Ingjun would do such a beastly thing? If this matter is not investigated in broad daylight, I'm afraid it won't be the last time the Divine Dragon Marquis Mansion does this." Ning Qi said confidently. "How dare you? Even now, you still dare to curse my Divine Dragon Marquis Mansion. Great Elder, as long as you give the order, I will take this brat down. No one can dare to slander us with empty words. Trample on our dignity." Immediately, all sorts of vicious curses came out from their mouth. Duan Feifei's face was incomparably pale, because those people were looking at her with eyes full of resentment, as if they were looking at a traitor. What this child said seems to make sense. That brat Duan Ingjun is as timid as a mouse. How could he dare to do such a beastly thing in that kind of situation? It had to be known that at that time, the people from the various great clans were all gathered in the Divine Dragon Marquis Mansion. If it was anyone else, they wouldn't dare to do something that would humiliate their family at such a time, right? Duan he frowned slightly. He had also sensed that something was wrong, but there were too many people who had witnessed it with their own eyes. The evidence was conclusive, so he didn't think too much about it. "All right, I'll test the effects of your medicine and see if it's really as you said, able to make people reveal all their secrets." Duan he said indifferently. "What? Great Elder, you can't. What if the potion is poisonous? What should we do?" Everyone was shocked when they heard this. Duan Shoujuan was the first to speak out to stop him. Fear appeared on Duan Ingwe's face again. The one who objected the most was Duan Ingwe's mother, the middle-aged beautiful woman. She even brought up the family rules and accused the Great Elder of putting her own disciple in danger. "There's no need for you to say anything more. If this potion is useless or if it's a drug, I'll naturally be able to tell. Then, even if he's someone favored by Elder Meng, he must receive the punishment he deserves. You don't want others to say that the Divine Dragon Marquis Mansion can't tell right from wrong, right? Even if they lose, we have to make them accept their defeat wholeheartedly." Duan he said coldly. A solemn aura surged out of his body, instantly suppressing the voices of everyone present. You and you, come out. Duan he casually pointed at two disciples of the seventh branch. One of them was actually Duan Juntian. The other had just shouted with great enthusiasm, saying that he wanted to kill Ning Qi to clear the name of the Marquis mansion. Now that he was pointed out by Duan he, his expression turned slightly ugly. Great Elder. The two of them walked to Duan he's side and bowed. Yes. Duan he looked at Ning Qi. Let's begin. Chapter 410. You scum. Ning Qi smiled as he walked up to Duan Juntian. Brother Duan, I won't stand on ceremony then. Duan Juntian looked at Ning Qi coldly. He felt slightly uneasy. Duan Ingui needs 3 drops. 2 drops should be enough for him, right? Ning Qi thought to himself as he gestured for Duan Juntian to open his mouth. The crowd watched nervously, especially Duan Shoujuan, Duan Ingui, and Yenshui Ling. If the potion was really effective, Duan he would definitely ask that kid to use the potion on them. That way, the matter of them framing Duan Ingjun would be exposed. Are you sure it's not poison? Duan Juntian could not help but ask. Don't worry. Why would I dare to poison you in front of so many people? No matter what, we're still friends. Ning Qi smiled. This guy is friends with Duan Juntian? Wait a minute, why do I feel like he's so familiar? Do you remember the incident with Duan Minglong's cousin? Wasn't he defeated by this guy? That's right. I wouldn't have remembered if you didn't mention it. It's him. So he's a disciple of the Cloud Rising sect. Duan Shohing's ears twitched as he looked at Ning Qi in shock. He knew that Duan Minglong had lost to someone and his confidence was shaken. He did not expect Duan Minglong to be in closed-door cultivation in the Marquis estate. Duan Minglong was not only a 1-star Do Huang, but he was also ranked around 300 on the Dragon leaderboard. There were not many disciples in the Marquis estate who could defeat him. Even Duan Ingui, who was a 2-star Do Huang, could not last more than 10 moves against Duan Minglong. Apparently, Duan he had also heard these whispers, and the way he looked at Ning Qi became even more curious. 2 drops of the truth potion were dripped into Duan Juntian's mouth. Soon, his expression turned numb. What's your name? Ning Qi smiled. Duan Juntian. Duan Juntian said numbly. When the crowd saw this, someone said suspiciously, Isn't this the same as an aphrodisiac? You can't be sure if he's telling the truth, right? Ning Qi glanced at him, smiled, and continued to ask, Who do you like? Duan Lingmei. Duan Juntian said blankly. Duan Junhong and Duan Juandi looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. They were aware of Duan Juntian's feelings for Duan Lingmei, but they had never heard Duan Juntian admit it. With his prideful character, he would never admit it. However, he had just blurted it out so naturally. One had to know that there were hundreds of disciples gathered here. Once the news came out, the entire Divine Dragon Manor would probably know about it tomorrow. Senior Duan, you can ask him yourself and see if he's telling the truth. Ning Qi smiled at Duan He. Duan He nodded and walked up to Duan Juntian before he said, Recite the cultivation method you're cultivating. The spirit comes out from the void and enters the body like liquid. Halfway through, everyone's expression changed. This was because half of the people present were also cultivating the cultivation method that Duan Juntian had recited. Not a single word was off. Done. Duan He stopped Duan Juntian when he was halfway through his recitation. Duan Juntian immediately shut his mouth. Following that, Duan He asked a few more questions. Duan Juntian's answers were concise and accurate. After about the time it took to brew a cup of tea, Duan Juntian's expression changed slightly as he regained his senses. When he recalled what he had said earlier, Duan Juntian's face turned extremely pale as he glared at Ning Qi furiously. Is this potion really effective? Everyone thought to themselves. Duan Juntian's expression was enough to explain everything. Surprise flashed across Xia Bing's eyes as she looked at Ning Qi. She did not know where he had obtained this medicine from. It did not seem to have any side effects on humans. Furthermore, it could make a 7-star Do Wang reveal all his secrets and even recite his clan's Qi method. Senior Duan, try him again. Ning Qi looked at another person. That person's expression was a little unnatural. He laughed dryly and said, "This potion is indeed effective. There's no need for me to try it." "Try it, Duan," he said calmly. That person's body trembled. Since Duan he had spoken, he knew he could not avoid this. Ning Qi gave him 2 drops of truth serum and said with a smile, "Tell me all the bad things you've done when you were young." That person said blankly, "When I was 4, I peeked at my aunt bathing. When I was 8, I peeked at my cousin's sister bathing. When I was 13, I had an affair with my cousin-in-law. When I was 16, I gave birth to a child and sent him away. When I was 17, I secretly kept the cultivation resources I obtained during a mission and only took out 30% to share." "Enough, Duan," he shouted. In the next moment that person regained his senses. He looked at Ning Qi with a pale face and suddenly knelt down in front of Duan He. "Grand Elder, I'm not telling the truth. He framed me. He framed me. I'll know whether it's true or not once I find out," Duan He said coldly. Not long after, the cousin-in-law that he had mentioned was dragged out. Under Duan He's coercion, she admitted to the matter in no time. His cousin was so angry that he vomited blood on the spot. "You scum! If it weren't for someone stopping him, he would have rushed up and torn that guy into pieces." Adultery with his cousin-in-law was even more serious than what Duan Ingjun had committed. "Take him away," Duan He said coldly. Someone immediately came forward and took that guy away. When he left, his legs were weak and he was almost dragged away. Now, everyone was afraid of the potion in Ning Qi's hand. Who didn't have a secret that they didn't want others to know? However, under the effects of this potion, she was even able to confess the matter of her adultery. One could imagine how powerful this potion was. Fourth uncle, Duan Ingui looked at Duan Shoujuan with some trepidation, wanting to hear what he could do to avoid this. "Shut up." Duan Shoujuan gave him a look and scolded him through voice transmission. "Senior Duan, are you satisfied with this potion?" Ning Qi said with a smile. Duan He nodded slowly. "This potion is a little interesting. What's its name?" "This potion is called Truth Serum. As the name suggests, after taking it, you'll tell the absolute truth without any concealment. When this matter is over, I can give you 10 drops. Ning Qi said with a smile. "Then I won't stand on ceremony." A hint of joy flashed across Duan He's face. "Now, it's time to get to the main point, right? As long as Duan Ingui, his wife, and Duan Shoujuan take the truth serum, we'll know the truth about Duan Ingjun," Ning Qi said with a smile. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Everyone's eyes instantly fell on Duan Shoujuan, Duan Ingui, and his wife. "No, my son won't take this medicine of unknown origin," the beautiful middle-aged woman refused sternly. A hint of panic flashed across the depths of her eyes. Chapter 411. Chapter 411. The END lovers. Since they said that there was something fishy about Duan Ingjun, our divine dragon marquis mansion has to give them an explanation. Duan He said lightly. After saying that, he looked at Duan Ingui and said, "You, come here." "Father." Duan Ingui looked at Duan Shoheng with some fear, hoping that he could say something. "Go, I believe you," Duan Shoheng said. "But I..." Duan Ingui did not dare to go over and hesitated. Xiaobing frowned slightly. Duan Ingui's appearance made her believe Ning Qi's words a little more. "Why are you dragging your feet? Could it be that you really did this?" Duan He shouted in a low voice. Duan Ingui hesitated for a moment and finally took a deep breath. As if he had made up his mind, he knelt on the ground and said, "Great Elder, it was fourth uncle who asked me to frame Duan Ingjun. It's really not my fault. I was blinded by money and was momentarily deceived by him. That's why I did such a thing." When Yen Shuiling, who was beside him, heard Duan Ingwe admit it, her face revealed a terrified expression. She lowered her head and did not dare to speak, but her body could not help but tremble. Duan Shohing's face instantly turned livid. He looked at Duan Ingwe angrily and said, "Ingwe, what did you say? How dare you frame your fourth uncle? Tell me, did someone threaten you? How could you do such a thing? Tell the great elder that this has nothing to do with you." The middle-aged woman said in horror. Everyone was in an uproar when they heard this. For a moment, countless suspicious gazes were fixed on Duan Ingwe and Duan Shojuan. Could it be that what Ningqi said before was true? Was Duan Ingjun really framed by them? "Great Elder, Ingwe is crazy. Don't believe what he said. How could I do such a thing?" Duan Shojuan looked at Duan He with a dry smile. "Whether he's crazy or not, won't you know after taking the truth serum?" Ningqi sneered. Duan He nodded slightly and looked at Duan Shojuan with an indifferent expression. "Do you dare to take the truth serum?" Great Elder, you must believe me." Duan Shojuan continued to defend himself. "Okay, I got it." Duan He sighed and ordered, "Send a few men to release Duan Ingjun from the prison and bring him here." "Yes." Duan Shohing's other brothers turned around and left with strange expressions on their faces. Before they left, they looked deeply at Duan Shojuan, as if they didn't believe that Duan Shojuan would frame a junior. "Don't tell me you really framed your brother." Looking at Duan Ingwe, Duan Shohing's expression gradually turned ugly. "Father, it has nothing to do with me. I was deceived by fourth uncle," Duan Ingwe whispered. Hearing this, Duan Shohing's face instantly turned deathly pale. His body swayed a little, and then an extremely unnatural flush surged up from his neck. Puff! Duan Shohing vomited a mouthful of blood. It was obvious how furious he was. He looked coldly at Duan Shojuan. At this time, Duan Shojuan was still explaining to Duan He, implying that he was not involved in this matter and that everything was Duan Ingwe's own decision. Duan He's body suddenly turned into a shadow and disappeared on the spot. Duan Shojuan was stunned. The next moment, Duan He appeared beside him, grabbed his shoulder and came to Ningqi. "Little brother, give him a few drops of truth serum to try," Duan He said. Ningqi nodded and saw that Duan Shojuan was restrained by Duan He. He had no choice but to open his mouth, unable to resist. Ningqi dripped about 20 drops into his mouth before the medicine began to take effect. Duan Shojuan told him about the dirty deal he had with Hua Shiri with a wooden face. The more Duan He listened, the uglier his face became. Xiaobing's face did not look any better. Hua Shiri had colluded with outsiders to frame a disciple of the sect. It was too rampant. Did he think that Elder Nu Tao could protect him forever? I didn't expect that Duan Ingjun was really framed. But why would they frame a little king of fighters? Everyone was shocked and puzzled. Even if two grandmasters wanted to plot against someone, they should at least plot against a king of fighters. What was so special about Duan Ingjun that was worth so much effort? Under Duan He's inquiry, Duan Shojuan also got rid of this doubt. It turned out that Hua Shiri had done all this to avenge Hua Wushang and Nu Tao. Hua Wushang had a grudge against Ningqi, and Ningqi had brought Manjulu to embarrass Nu Tao. They could not take revenge on Ningqi for the time being, so they wanted to take revenge on the people around Ningqi first. Duan Ingjun was a typical example. It's really because of me. The people of the Five Poisons Divine Sect are really vindictive. Ningqi muttered in his heart. Colorless and odorless goo desire, no wonder no one could see it. Duan He sneered. At this time, Duan Shohing's brothers brought Duan Ingjun up, But was the person they brought up really Duan Ingjun? He was wearing a white prison uniform and covered with blood. The most important thing was that his chubby body was now as thin as a stick. His eyes were dull. Even though there were hundreds of eyes looking at him, he did not seem to notice them. His eyes were looking straight ahead. One could imagine what kind of torture he had suffered during this period of time. Duan Shoheng looked at Duan Ingjun, feeling upset. Humph! Xia Bing snorted coldly and flew to Duan Ingjun's side. She tapped on his body a few times and then took out an elixir pill for Duan Ingjun to consume. Only then did his complexion look a little better. There was some movement in his eyes too. Duan Ingjun's eyeballs moved first, then moved a second time. Finally, when he saw clearly that it was Xia Bing in front of him, he burst into tears and said, "Master, save me, Master, they wronged me." "All right, as a man, why are you crying? Your matter has been resolved, you can follow me back to the sect. As for this divine dragon manor, if there's nothing else in the future, it's fine if you don't return." Xia Bing said coldly. "My matter has been resolved?" When Duan Ingjun heard this, he stopped crying and stood there in a daze. After a while, he was overjoyed. If it wasn't for the fact that he didn't have any strength left, he would have jumped up and celebrated. He didn't want to go back to that damned place for even a moment. Only then did he realize the situation around him. "Father, you're here too? The Great Elder is here too? Boss? Is that you, boss?" Duan Ingjun said in surprise when he saw Ning Qi. "Yes, it's me." Ning Qi looked at him and said with a faint smile. Duan Ingjun directly rushed towards Ning Qi. Ning Qi reached out to give him a hug, but unexpectedly, he brushed past Ning Qi and arrived in front of Duan Feifei. He said affectionately, "Feifei, I'm innocent. You didn't misunderstand me, right?" "I know you're innocent." Duan Feifei nodded with tears in her eyes. "He's still AF * king lover." Chapter 412. The Whereabouts of Shen Tuyuan Bayes. Duan He nodded. When everyone watched Ning Qi and the others disappear from their sight, a small bottle flew over from afar and landed in Duan He's hand. Duan He weighed it with a smile on his face. Then, he put away the bottle and looked at Duan Shoujuan and Duan Ingui coldly. "This is a scandal of your 7th branch. You can solve it yourselves." To everyone's surprise, Duan He just glanced at Duan Shoheng and turned to leave. At this time, Duan Shoujuan also woke up from his confused state. His face instantly turned pale because he remembered what he had said. "Big brother, I..." Duan Shoujuan looked at Duan Shoheng and was speechless. Duan Shoheng looked at him coldly and then at Duan Ingui, who was kneeling in front of him. He snorted, "I don't have a brother like you and I don't have a son like you. Get out of the 7th branch. I don't want to see you again." "Master, give Ingui another chance." The beautiful middle-aged woman pulled Duan Shoheng's arm and tried to persuade him. "It's all because of you." Duan Shoheng roared angrily, pulled his arm out and turned to leave. "Mother." Duan Ingui looked at the beautiful middle-aged woman with a pleading expression. "Don't worry. Your father will be fine after he gets angry for a while. Your father has never cared about that bastard. So what if he wronged him?" The beautiful middle-aged woman comforted him in a low voice. "Boss, thank you so much this time." On the way back to Cloud Rising Sect, Duan Ingjun heard Duan Feifei's explanation and realized that it was Ning Qi who had cleared his name. "However, that old guy Hua Shiri wronged me. He's really inhumane," Duan Ingjun said indignantly. "Don't talk too much when you go back to Cloud Rising Sect," Xia Bing said lightly. But Master Duan Ingjun looked anxious. He had been tortured to the point that he had lost hundreds of kilograms. Was he going to let it go just like that? "Listen to Elder Xia Bing. You're still no match for Hua Shiri. What's more, he has Elder Nu Tao behind him. If you go back to the sect and spread the news, Even if Hua Shiri is punished, Elder Nu Tao will make things difficult for you in the future. Do you want to be framed like this time? Ningqi said. All right, when I become a Dozong, I will personally take revenge. Duan Injun nodded. Ningqi, where did your truth serum come from? Xiaobing suddenly said. This was found in a relic. It should have been refined by an ancient alchemist. Elder Xiaobing, are you interested? I'll give you 20 drops too. Ningqi laughed. Xiaobing was a little embarrassed and wanted to refuse, but Ningqi had already poured 20 drops of truth serum into another small bottle and handed it to Xiaobing. Xiaobing hesitated for a moment and reached out to take it. She smiled at Ningqi and said, Thank you. You're welcome. Ningqi laughed. The fact that Xiaobing was able to come to the Divine Dragon Manor with Duan Feifei to save Duan Injun this time had changed Ningqi's impression of her. Previously, he felt that Xiaobing was cold and indifferent, as if she didn't care much about Duan Injun. Now it seemed that as a master she was more competent than most people. Cloud Rising Sect. Outer Sect. As soon as Duan Injun returned, he attracted everyone's attention. How is that possible? Duan Tianying looked at Duan Injun in shock. Although he had lost a lot of weight, he could still see 70 to 80% of his original appearance. His face instantly darkened and he turned to leave. I have to inform senior brother Hua Wushang about this. Junior brother Duan, is that you? Sidu Sun Su looked at Ningqi and the rest in shock, then looked at Duan Injun and asked. It's me, brother Sun Su. Don't you recognize me? Duan Injun was puzzled. Obviously, he hadn't gotten used to being so thin. TSK, Sidu Sun Su sighed. He knew that Duan Injun had probably suffered a lot after being suppressed by the Divine Dragon Manor. Isn't that Duan Injun? He's back? Didn't I hear that he tried to rape his sister-in-law and was suppressed? Could it be that Elder Xiaobing snatched it back? Many outer sect disciples muttered softly. Hearing that, Duan Injun said to them angrily, I'm not that kind of beast. This is a misunderstanding. After being yelled at by Duan Injun, they immediately fell silent. They weren't afraid of Duan Injun, but they were afraid of Ningqi, who was beside him. After all, Ningqi was now the number 1 outer sect disciple. You still have some injuries on your body. Take this time to recuperate. Don't run around. Xiaobing said lightly. Yes, master. Duan Injun nodded and then smiled at Ningqi. Boss, wait for me. When my injuries are almost healed, let's go on a mission together. Go on. Ningqi waved his hand impatiently. Xiaobing brought Duan Injun and Duan Feifei back to her courtyard. Seeing that, Sidu Sun Su mustered up the courage to invite Ningqi to go on a mission with him, but Ningqi declined with a smile. Inner sect. What did you say? Duan Injun is back? Hua Wushang looked at Duan Tianying coldly, surprise flashing in his eyes. Yes. Duan Tianying nodded. Damn it. Hua Wushang was infuriated. His cultivation had been forcefully reduced from a 1-star Do Huang to a peak Do Huang by Ningqi. He had wanted to collect some interest from Duan Injun, but now it was all ruined. It's Ningqi. Hua Wushang sneered. Yes, Ningqi came back with him, along with Elder Xiaobing. Duan Tianying said. Ningqi. Xiaobing. The killing intent in Hua Wushang's eyes grew. He glanced at Duan Tianying and said coldly, You hate Ningqi very much, right? Duan Tianying was slightly startled. He hesitated for a moment before nodding. Yes, I hate him very much. Then go to the 5 Poison Sect now and help me send a message. Hua Wushang said. 5 Poison Sect. Duan Tianying was somewhat unwilling. As a disciple of the Divine Dragon Marquis Mansion, his reputation would be tarnished if he went to the 5 Poison Sect and was discovered. What, you don't want to? Hua Wushang's face instantly turned cold. I am willing. Duan Tianying hesitated for a moment before agreeing. Pft, Hua Wushang sneered. He took out a jade slip and placed it on his forehead. After a few breaths of time, the jade slip flashed with light. He handed the jade slip to Duan Tianying. Remember, give this to the fourth elder of the Five Poisons Divine Sect. I will definitely deliver it. Duan Tianying nodded, put away the jade scroll, and turned to leave. Hua Wushang looked at his back and sneered in his heart. Ningqi, if I don't kill you, I am not fit to be the divine son of the Five Poison Sect. In a place extremely far from the Cloud Rising Sect, there was a dragon valley. This was the holy land of the famous Redbud Dragon tribe. At this moment, Jing Wuming looked at the injured Shintu Yuanba and sneered. Where did you get the courage to find trouble with me? Chapter 413. An unwelcome guest. I killed your clansman? Lifeless Thorn's lips curled into a mocking smile. I've killed too many ants. Since your cultivation is so low, I'm guessing your clansmen aren't much better off, right? There will come a day when your dragon clan will fall from the divine altar. Shintu Yuanba glared at Lifeless Thorn, enunciating each word. Young master, this ant is too arrogant. Let me eat him. A robust man stood beside Lifeless Thorn. Although the man's facial features resembled that of a human's, he had a trace of the dragon race's aura. Clearly, he was a dragon in human form. At this moment, the robust man licked his lips as he looked at Shintu Yuanba, treating him like a delicacy. After all, Shintu Yuanba was a 6-star zone. Kill him? That's letting him off too easily. Send him to the Draconic Penitentiary. Those fellows there haven't been active in a long time, right? Lifeless Thorn sneered. Yes, young master. Pity flashed in the robust man's eyes as he led Shintu Yuanba away. Suddenly, another person beside Lifeless Thorn stepped forward and said in a low voice, Young master, the move he just used should be from the Cloud Rising Sect. The Cloud Rising Sect? Ha! Send someone to tell them that because of Shintu Yuanba, their tribute this year will be increased tenfold, Lifeless Thorn said indifferently. Yes, young master. Understood. Cloud Rising Sect. A small dot flew over from the distant sky. When the dot approached, the disciples guarding the gate discovered that it was a 100-meter-long, crimson-gold dragon. What a terrifying aura! Is that a Tier 8 dragon race? It's heading in our direction. When the crimson-gold dragon approached, it showed no signs of stopping. Instead, it flew straight into the Cloud Rising Sect. Cloud Rising Sect steward, get out here. The dragon's furious roar echoed through the clouds. That's the dragon race's furious roar. Everyone in the outer sect could not help but raise their heads. When they saw the enormous crimson-gold dragon in the sky, a trace of fear flashed in their eyes. What's going on? That dragon is coming. I'm afraid that it's up to no good. Wu Hu walked out from the courtyard. Not far away, Si Malin, Xia Bing, and the other deacon elders appeared outside the door. Then, they gathered together and looked at the crimson-golden dragon in the sky as they chatted softly. Tai Bing, Situ Yi and the other outer court disciples also walked out. They looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. Inner sect. Isn't this dragon the dragon envoy of the Redbud Dragon tribe? An inner sect disciple recognized the scarlet gold dragon and was shocked. Had the Cloud Rising sect offended the Redbud Dragon tribe? Otherwise, why would the other party be so rude and not give him any face at all? The Redbud Dragon clan, Hua Wushang, stood not far from the inner sect disciple. He raised his head and looked at the golden dragon. He felt a little envious. It would be great if he could be as domineering as this dragon one day. The green-robed elders of the Cloud Rising sect slowly opened their eyes from their seclusion. Pure gold? What did it come here for? Forget it, let Nuteo worry about this. Interesting. It seems like they're very dissatisfied with our Cloud Rising clan. Aren't you afraid of provoking Elder Lampholder? Who provoked the Redbud Dragon tribe this time? After Nuteo opened his eyes, he instantly appeared in midair. Before long, he was in front of Pure Gold. Nuteo, you have to give me an explanation this time. The Golden Dragon clearly knew Nuteo. The moment he saw him, he growled coldly. Pure Gold, what happened? Nuteo frowned. Your Cloud Rising sect is really audacious. Someone actually dared to sneak attack my Redbud Dragon tribe and kill 3 of our rank 7 Dragon tribe members. If young Master Jing Wuming hadn't discovered and captured you, would your Cloud Rising sect have planned to exterminate my Redbud Dragon tribe? Pure Gold growled. What? Someone sneak attacked the Redbud Dragon tribe? Wu Hu and the others were shocked. Isn't that just harming us? Many of the outer sect disciples looked angry. Everyone knew that the Redbud Dragon tribe ruled over the 6 top sects, including the Cloud Rise sect. Now, someone from the Cloud Rise sect had sneak attacked the Redbud Dragon tribe. Did they want the Redbud Dragon tribe to declare war on the Cloud Rise sect? If that was the case, the outer sect disciples would be the first to become cannon fodder. Someone from my Cloud Rising sect attacked you? Nuteo revealed a puzzled expression. Yes, this is what that person looks like. The Golden Dragon growled and spat out a mouthful of flames. The flames transformed into a human face in the air. When everyone saw this face, they all exclaimed, Elder Shintu. Shintu Yuanba? It's him? Nuteo's expression changed slightly. Ningqi, who had been paying attention to this matter, changed his expression. Master went to find trouble with the Redbud Dragon tribe? Damn it, isn't he in the hands of the other party now? Or has he already been killed? Ningqi's expression became extremely ugly when he thought of this. How could it be Elder Shintu? Wu Hu and the others couldn't understand why Shintu Yuanba, one of the top 10 acting elders of the Cloud Rising sect, would go to find trouble with the Redbud Dragon tribe for no reason. Wasn't this courting death? As long as he trained properly, he would have the chance to break through to the Dozun realm and become a green-clothed elder. The outer sect disciples immediately looked at Ningqi, their gazes very different from usual. In the past, when they looked at Ningqi, their gazes were filled with fear and respect. Now, however, they were all unfriendly. Clearly, because of the matter with Shintu Yuanba, they held a grudge against Ningqi. If the Redbud Dragon tribe declared war on the Cloud Rising sect, they would definitely kill Ningqi first. Oh, that arrogant fellow is called Shintu Yuanba? He has already been thrown into the Redbud Dragon tribe's draconic penitentiary by young Master Jing Wuming. He can probably live for a few more months. The Golden Dragon sneered. Ningqi heaved a sigh of relief when he heard this. At least his master hadn't been killed on the spot. Draconic penitentiary? Ningqi's expression gradually turned serious. If it really is him, I will apologize to you on behalf of the Cloud Rising sect. Nuteo said. Apologize? If apologizing could solve problems, would there still be a need to train? The Golden Dragon sneered, a faint mocking smile hanging from the corner of his mouth. Golden Dragon, what do you want? Nuteo frowned. Young Master Jing Wuming has spoken. Your Cloud Rising sect will increase this year's tribute tenfold. The Golden Dragon said coldly. What? Tenfold? Regardless of whether it was the acting elders, the ordinary elders, the inner sect disciples, the outer sect disciples, or the odd job disciples, they all had ugly expressions. Chapter 4:14. The son must pay his father's debts, 10 times the amount of tributes. What are we going to eat? Even the cultivation resources of the inner sect disciples will be squeezed to a frightening level, right? I'm afraid that when the time comes, the missions in the mission hall will no longer be ours. They will be snatched away by the inner sect disciples. Then our cultivation will be stagnant for at least 2 to 3 years. How can we still cultivate? The outer sect disciples discussed in low voices. In the end, they lifted their heads and looked at Ning Qi with disgust. After all of this was caused by Ning Qi's master, Shin Tuyenba. Like the outer sect disciples, the inner sect disciples were also cursing Shin Tuyenba in their hearts. Only one person was laughing in his heart. That person was Hua Wushang. He did not lack cultivation resources. After all, he was the divine son of the Five Poisons divine sect. Although the Five Poisons divine sect could not compare to the Cloud Rising sect, the cultivation resources provided to him had already surpassed that of ordinary Cloud Rising sect disciples. Although it was not as good as the Cloud Rising sect, it was more than enough. This incident would not affect him much. Instead, he could already imagine what Ning Qi, as Shin Tuyenba's disciple, would encounter in the future. Ning Qi, Ning Qi, to think that your master would be so stupid as to provoke the Amethyst Dragon tribe. Now the sect has to pay 10 times the amount of tribute. Not only will the sect not help you save him, but even you will be implicated. Even without me doing anything, there will be countless people who will want to kill you. Hua Wushang laughed maniacally in his heart. Qi Jin, 10 times? Can it be less? You know that our Cloud Rising sect always pays the full amount of tribute. There is no fraud. If you want us to pay 10 times the amount of tributes, I'm afraid it will not be as you wish. Nu Tao said with an ugly expression. If the tributes are any less, then our Amethyst Dragon tribe will declare war on your Cloud Rising sect. At that time, don't think that the 9 States Empire will care about you. They won't dare. None of the other 9 great clans will help you. Your Cloud Rise sect will be exterminated. Nu Tao, I have known you for many years, and that is why I am giving you a chance. If it were another clan member, he would have found a random reason to leave. He would not even have the chance to pay tribute. Qi Jin sneered. Nu Tao frowned. After the time it took to drink a cup of tea, he heavily sighed and said, "All right, I promise you. 10 times the tribute it is." Elder agreed? Sigh. Most people looked at this scene expressionlessly. In their hearts, they had probably cursed Shin Tuyenba countless times. Especially the inner sect disciples, they did not have much respect for the deacon elders. In their eyes, Shin Tuyenba was an equal existence to them. However, this person, who had no status in the Cloud Rising sect, had caused the Cloud Rising sect to pay 10 times the amount of tribute to the Redbud Dragon tribe. He had caused the inner sect disciples' cultivation resources to be greatly reduced. The only ones who would not be affected by this matter were the green-robed elders, the lampholder elder, and the sect master. The rest of the people had all become Shin Tuyenba's targets. Remember, 3 months from now is the time to pay tribute. At that time, I hope to see all of you at the Redbud Dragon tribe. Otherwise, the aura on the large crimson gold dragon's body became wild and violent. Golden-colored Do Qi spread over the sky. It was just like the first ray of sunlight that had risen in the morning, dyeing the entire place golden. It brought everyone below a suffocating pressure. Even a couple of the green-clothed elders, who were similarly Do Zuns, revealed shocked expressions. From this aura, they could tell that they were far from being a match for the huge crimson gold dragon. They would not even be able to last 10 moves. Nu Tao's expression did not change. After the huge crimson gold dragon displayed its dragon might, it turned around and flapped its wings to leave. Everyone could not recover for a long time until it disappeared from their sight. Shin Tuyenba, that damned fellow! Nu Tao roared. His eyes suddenly locked onto Ning Qi, who was looking at him from the outer sect. Catch this guy for me! Nu Tao's voice instantly reverberated in the ears of Wu Hu and the other deacon elders. Xia Bing revealed a hesitant expression. However, Sima Lin and the other deacon elders had already appeared in front of Ning Qi like wolves and tigers. They all used their Do Qi to lock onto Ning Qi. Your master has caused our Cloud Rising sect to suffer great losses. He has caused us to suffer great losses. Now we are going to capture you and bring you to Elder Nu Tao. If you dare to resist, I do not mind killing you with one palm." A deacon elder coldly looked at Ning Chi and said. After which, the cultivation of a 7-star Do Zone was instantly revealed in front of Ning Chi. The storm-like aura caused Ning Chi to involuntarily take 7 or 8 steps back before he could stabilize himself. Ning Chi glanced at all of them. Everyone had the same expression, indifference and disgust. After which, he glanced at the group of outer sect disciples. Other than Duan Ingjun, Duan Feifei, Tai Bing, Situ Yi, and a few others, the rest of them looked at him with the same expression as the deacon elders. "Let's go. Don't resist," Sima Lin said indifferently. Ning Chi realized that Sima Lin was secretly giving him a look. He was slightly surprised. "Okay, I will go with you." Ning Chi knew that a wise man knew better than to fight when the odds were against him. He did not plan to resist at all. Nu Tao would at most give him some groundless blame and would not sentence him to death. After which, Ning Chi was brought in front of Elder Nu Tao. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Countless eyes of inner sect disciples instantly focused on Ning Chi. As the Dry Bones Forbidden Land was opening soon, the inner sect disciples who were outside had basically returned to the sect. They wanted to see if they had the opportunity to obtain a place. Now there were more than 600 pairs of eyes staring at Ning Chi with extremely unfriendly expressions. "This person is Shintu Yuanba's disciple? I have seen him during the promotion competition. He is extremely strong. Even Hua Wushang is not a match for him. Didn't Hua Wushang become a peak Do Wang after being injured?" Some inner sect disciples looked at Hua Wushang mockingly. They were extremely dissatisfied with Hua Wushang's background. The 5 Poison Divine sect was a demonic sect. "Senior Wu, when you were not in the sect last time, I heard that Hua Wushang's cultivation dropped because of this person. This person should not be underestimated." "Oh? So what? Now that his master has done such a thing and caused our Cloud Rising sect to suffer such a huge loss, even if he is talented, Elder Nu Tao will not let him off. I am afraid he will be sent to the back mountain to face the wall for 10 years. When that time comes, he will not have any cultivation resources or opportunities. After 10 years, he will still be ordinary." Nu Tao landed in front of Ning Chi and looked at him coldly. "Do you know your crime?" "Know my crime?" Ning Chi was confused. "Elder Nu, what crime did I commit? This time, the sect has suffered such a huge loss because of your master Shintu Yuanba. The son has to pay for the father's debt. Shintu Yuanba is imprisoned in the draconic penitentiary, so naturally, you will receive your punishment. I sentence you to the back mountain to face the wall for 50 years. Nu Tao said calmly. 50 years. Chapter 4:15. Who has the final say? Face the wall in the back mountain for 50 years? Ning Chi's expression changed slightly as he looked coldly at Nu Tao. "Elder Nu, let's not talk about whether what my master said is true or not. Even if it is true, what does it have to do with me? Why do you want me to face the wall for 50 years? You are abusing your position to take revenge. How dare you?" Nu Tao's aura suddenly changed. Ning Chi felt as if his heart was hit by a big hammer. He retreated 7 to 8 steps, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Wu Hu and the other elders were shocked. They had felt something strange, but because Nu Tao's aura was deliberately targeted at Ning Chi, they were not affected. Is this old man planning to use this opportunity to deal with me today? Ning Chi thought to himself. Just as he was hesitating if he should pretend to agree and wait for an opportunity to escape from the back mountain, a beautiful figure suddenly appeared in front of him. Meng Qingling? Ning Chi's heart was filled with joy. Meng Qingling came without a sound, causing all the deacon elders and inner disciples to jump in fright. Who is this girl? I don't know her. I have never seen her in the sect. I can't see through her cultivation. Looking at her appearance, she seems to be in her 20s. Could she be a new direct disciple? It's possible. When the elders accept disciples, they are always so mysterious. The inner sect disciples discussed in low voices, guessing Meng Qingling's true identity. Some of them might have seen Meng Qingling's early appearance, but no one had seen her appearance after taking the beauty-calming pill, so they couldn't recognize her. Wu Hu and the other elders had never seen Meng Qingling before. When she suddenly appeared in front of them, a few of them dared to use their aura to test her. In the end, they were all lightly injured. Their eyes were filled with shock and they didn't dare to make any more movements. Meng, Elder Meng? Nu Tao's face flashed with a trace of shock. He looked at Meng Qingling in disbelief. Elder Meng? She is an elder? Elder Nu's attitude towards her seems to be a little different. Could she be a new elder in green? I guess so. I didn't expect our Cloud Rising sect to have such a young green-robed elder. I wonder who will be lucky enough to be her disciple. The inner disciples were all amazed by Meng Qingling's youth. As for the deacon elders, when they heard the name Elder Meng, they had already guessed Meng Qingling's true identity. They all lowered their heads, their eyes filled with shock. What happened just now? Meng Qingling said lightly. Nu Tao explained the situation with a slightly respectful expression. Of course, he was extremely dissatisfied with Shinto Yuanba, describing him as a sinner of the Cloud Rising sect. Together with those who had once betrayed the sect and entered the path of the devil, they stood side by side. Do you know why your master went to find trouble with the Redbud Dragon clan? After Meng Qingling heard this, she looked at Ning Qi and said lightly. Ning Qi nodded and said, Master once told me that his clansmen were all killed by Jing Wuming of the Redbud Dragon clan. Clansmen killed. Meng Qingling frowned slightly, then looked at Nu Tao and said, This matter is pardonable. Shinto Yuanba was not instructed by anyone to deliberately provoke the Cloud Rising sect and the Redbud Dragon clan, so there is no need to implicate others. When Nu Tao heard this, he was somewhat dissatisfied. Meng Qingling was obviously helping Ning Qi. He thought for a moment and frowned. Elder Meng, the sect has suffered a great loss because of this. We have lost 10 times the amount of tribute. I'm afraid that in the next few years, the cultivation resources of the outer sect disciples and the inner sect disciples will be greatly affected. This will indirectly drag down the overall strength of the Cloud Rising sect. If we do not handle this matter in a satisfactory manner, what should we do if someone is dissatisfied with the sect in the future and deliberately provokes the Amethyst Dragon tribe, or even the 3 major dragon tribes, bringing disaster to our sect? What should we do then? I suggest that we not only let Shinto Yuanba's disciples receive punishment, but also capture Shinto Yuanba's close friends and imprison them in the back mountain. Elder Nu's words make sense. That should be done. The inner sect disciples all agreed with him. Meng Qingling glanced at the crowd, then looked at Nu Tao lightly and said, What you said makes sense. Joy flashed in Nu Tao's eyes, and he felt a little proud. With reason, even the lamp-bearer elder had to be convinced. But do your words count, or do my words count? Meng Qingling continued. She looked at Nu Tao with a hint of coldness in her eyes. Nu Tao felt an extremely terrifying aura coming from Meng Qingling. His heart felt like it was pressed down by a mountain, and he almost couldn't breathe. Do your words count, or do I count? She dared to speak to Elder Nu Tao like this? The crowd of inner disciples showed expressions of disbelief. They all looked at Meng Qingling with shock. One must know that Elder Nu Tao was one of the best among the green-robed elders. Ordinary green-robed elders even had to greet him as a junior when they saw him. But this woman actually used a superior tone to speak to him? Could it be that she was not the green-robed elder, but someone with a more terrifying identity? At this time, some people's hearts skipped a beat. Could it be the lamp-bearer elder? Their eyes were filled with shock. Isn't Meng Qingling the green-robed elder? How dare she speak to Grandmaster like this? Hua Wushang was a little shocked. Everyone was waiting for Nu Tao's reaction. After what seemed like a few long seconds of choice, Nu Tao cupped his hands respectfully and said, "Of course Elder Meng has the final say." Hiss! Sounds of cold air being inhaled rang out one after another. Elder Nu Tao actually admitted defeat? That woman, who was she? Meng Qingling nodded, looked at Ning Qi, then turned and left. Seeing this, Ning Qi hurriedly ran a few steps and followed behind her. The deacon elders, inner disciples, Hua Wushang, Nu Tao, and the others could only watch as Ning Qi and Meng Qingling disappeared from their vision. Nu Tao's face suddenly turned green, and a trace of humiliation flashed across his face. Today, in front of so many people, he was put on the spot by Meng Qingling. It was really too shameful. Master, Hua Shiri, who had not dared to make a sound, hesitated for a moment, then slightly opened his mouth. In the end, Nu Tao glared at him, waved his sleeves and left. Even the main characters had left. The inner disciples buzzed and enthusiastically discussed. The topic was all about guessing Meng Qingling's true identity. Chapter 4:16. Why are you following me? Meng Qingling stopped in her tracks and turned to look at Ning Qi. Ning Qi laughed awkwardly, cupped his hands and said, "Elder Meng, although my master was a little impulsive and caused a lot of trouble for the sect, he has given his all for the sect for many years. Even if he didn't make any contributions, he still put in a lot of effort. I wonder if Elder Meng can come out and save my master?" Meng Qingling said indifferently, "If I had been there, your master would have been fine. But now that he has been thrown into the draconic penitentiary, do you know who is living next to it?" "Who?" "The patriarch of the Redbud Dragon tribe. Even I am no match for this old dragon," Meng Qingling said. Ning Qi was shocked. How strong was the dragon tribe if Meng Qingling was no match for him? But Shen Tuyuanba had treated him well, so Ning Qi could not just stand by and watch. After some thought, he said, "I heard from the Redbud Dragon tribe's giant dragon that my master seemed to have killed a few of the more ordinary Redbud Dragon tribe members. Such an existence shouldn't have a high status in the Redbud Dragon tribe, right? I wonder if it's possible to exchange for my master through a trade?" "Trade?" Meng Qingling's lips curled into a mocking smile. She looked Ning Qi up and down and smiled. "What can you offer to tempt a rank 9 Dragon tribe member?" "I think the crux of this matter is Jing Wuming. I heard that he is ranked 38th on the ranking list of young masters and should be a rank 7 Dragon tribe member. A rank 7 Dragon tribe member needs a lot of cultivation resources. But with my status, going to the Redbud Dragon tribe is just like giving them rations. Elder Meng, can you help me ask if there is any possibility of such a trade?" Ning Qi analyzed. "Jing Wuming," Meng Qingling narrowed her eyes and nodded. "There is a possibility." Ning Qi looked at Meng Qingling with a hint of joy. Meng Qingling paused and continued, "Do you know about the Forbidden Dried Bones grounds?" "I know a thing or two." Ning Qi nodded. "In the Withering Bones Forbidden Ground, there's a fruit called the Dragon Blood Fruit. This fruit has a certain chance of activating the ancestral bloodline of the dragon tribe and increasing one's strength greatly. However, it only works on dragons below the rank 7 level, including rank 7 dragons. If you have a dragon blood fruit, it won't be difficult to trade for your master," Meng Qingling said. Dragon blood fruit. Ning Qi's mind immediately sank into the dragon slaying maul and searched. He quickly found this fruit, but the price was actually 100,000 dragon slaying coins. He only had 60,000 dragon slaying coins now. He was still short of 40,000. There's still half a month before the Withered Bones Forbidden Ground opens. At that time, there will be hundreds of disciples from various sects entering the Withered Bones Forbidden Ground. Apart from training, their mission is to obtain this dragon blood fruit. If you really want to save your master, I'll give you a spot, Meng Qingling said lightly. Searching for the dragon blood fruit in the dry bones forbidden land? That was feasible. Ning Qi quickly said, "Thank you, Elder Meng." Suddenly, a doubt rose in his heart and he could not help but ask, if the dragon blood fruit is so useful to the dragon tribe, why don't they enter the withered bones forbidden ground themselves? Haha, even a rank 10 dragon might not be able to come out after entering. The corner of Meng Qingling's mouth was curled into a mocking smile. What? It's that dangerous inside? Ning Qi's eyes were filled with shock. Even for humans, only those below the Dozong rank can enter. The Withered Bones Forbidden Ground is a fragment of the dragon continent that was shattered during ancient times. Many people know this, but not many know that the ancient dragon tribe lives inside. They are extremely xenophobic, and if they discover anyone who doesn't belong to the Withered Bones Forbidden Ground, they'll definitely kill them. Kill them! Once the dragon tribe of Dongxian enters, they'll be detected by the almighty beings inside. Therefore, only humans can enter. Even so, there won't be many who can come out. Most of them die inside. Meng Qingling smiled at Ning Qi. You can decide if you want to go or not. No wonder. Ning Qi came to a sudden realization. It turned out that the aura of the dragon tribe would be detected, which was why humans would enter on their behalf to search for the dragon blood fruit and various cultivation resources. If that was the case, Ning Qi wouldn't be too afraid. After all, there were also rank 10 dragons in Dongxian. As long as he didn't provoke them or get targeted, they wouldn't have the time to find trouble with an ant like him. Ning Qi nodded at Meng Qingling and said, "Elder Meng, I'll go in." "Alright. Once the time is up, we'll gather in front of the Withered Bones Forbidden Ground. Take this jade token. Only with it will you be able to enter the central area of the Cloud Rising sect." Meng Qingling nodded her head. She took out a jade tablet from her bosom and handed it to Ning Qi. After Ning Qi received it, he subconsciously used his Do Qi to test it. As a result, the jade tablet immediately released a terrifying aura, almost scaring him. "It's fine. It's best if you don't inject Do Qi into it." Meng Qingling softly gave him some advice. In the next second, she quietly disappeared from Ning Qi's sight. Ning Qi couldn't even catch a trace of her departure. Elder Meng actually wanted me to go to the Withered Bones Forbidden Ground, Ning Qi thought to himself. Otherwise, how could he have followed Meng Qingling just now? Thinking of this, Ning Qi rejoiced in his heart that he had used a low-grade profound-level beauty calming pill to build a good foundation for his relationship with Meng Qingling. Otherwise, even if New Tao made things difficult for him today, it would have been difficult for him to get past this hurdle. When he returned to the outer sect, Ning Qi stood in front of a ruin. This ruin was Shinta Yuanba's courtyard and also Ning Qi's cultivation ground. "Boss, you're all right? That's great." Duan Injun ran to Ning Qi and said in surprise. Who did this?" Ning Qi said faintly. His tone was calm, as though there wasn't much emotion in it. However, Duan Injun knew that Ning Qi was probably on the verge of exploding. He said with an ugly expression, "A few hundred of them did it together." The few hundred outer sect disciples stared at Ning Qi coldly. They had the advantage in numbers now. No matter how arrogant Ning Qi was, he wouldn't dare to kill all of them, right? To think that this day would come for you. Lei Yong was gloating in his heart. No one knew that the first person to suggest destroying the house was him. At that time, all the deacon elders had escorted Ning Qi to the inner sect. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to destroy Shinta Yuanba's courtyard so smoothly and embarrass Ning Qi. Lei Yong was very happy when he thought about how his palm was crushed by Ning Qi and how he was humiliated in front of so many people. "All of you break a finger. Otherwise, if I do it myself, it won't just be a finger." Chapter 4:17. Hand-chopping maniac, arrogant. Arrogant! You want us to cut off one of our fingers? You caused us to lose all our training resources. How are we going to settle this? Don't think that you are powerful. Your master is a sinner and you are also a sinner. There are so many of us here. Do you think we are afraid of you? That's right. If you have the ability, then kill us all. Lei Yong hid behind the crowd and shouted. Then, he immediately shrunk his head to avoid being discovered by Ning Qi. He was very cautious. Yes, kill us if you can. Damn it. I thought that I could try to break through to the peak of the King Realm in 3 years. Now, there is no way I can break through. I don't even know where to get the elixirs and spiritual crystals for training. The crowd was filled with indignation. Under the instigation of some people, they looked at Ning Qi with murderous intent. They wanted to kill Ning Qi on the spot. Hey, this has nothing to do with my boss. Don't go too far. Duan Ingjun pointed at the crowd and shouted. You lackey! You took advantage of Ning Qi's support and did not return the lower spiritual crystal you lent me last time. I will beat you to death. Beat him to death. Damn it. I have not liked this fatty for a long time. Not only is he weak, he is also so arrogant. I followed him on a mission last time. If he was not Ning Qi's lackey, I would not have helped him. I lost an upper mystic fighting weapon because of him. Me too. The crowd seemed to have shifted the blame to Duan Ingjun. Duan Ingjun was stunned and immediately retorted angrily, Damn it. Did I not return the lower spiritual crystal I lent you? Wasn't I framed and suppressed? And you, I made you lose an upper mystic fighting weapon? Wasn't it because you were too greedy? I told you to retreat but you did not retreat. You too. F*CKU. Duan Ingjun retorted until his mouth was dry and he felt weak. Duan Feifei stood with Duan Hualien in the distance. If Duan Hualien did not pull her, she would definitely be standing beside Duan Ingjun. Feifei, they're in trouble now. It's better if you don't join in the fun. Duan Hualien whispered. But, no buts. You won't be able to help them even if you go up now. Instead, you'll become a thorn in their side. They need to vent their anger. You don't want to wake up one day and find that your yard has been smashed, right? This time, Shinto Yuanba has not only implicated us outer sect disciples, I'm afraid the losses of the managing elders are not small as well. Duan Hualien said coldly. On the other side, Situ Yi and the other brothers calmly watched the development of the situation. Situ Ren said in a low voice, Big brother, should we go up and say a few words? These people should listen to us, right? After all, the Situ clan's brothers had very strong cultivations. Even if they were newly promoted outer sect disciples, they still occupied a position in the outer sect and still had a bit of authority. Second brother, don't be silly. If you go up now, aren't you afraid of being swallowed whole? Situ Mingdeng frowned. What are you talking about? At least Ning Qi is on our side, right? Situ Ren said angrily. Situ Yi said indifferently, Third brother is right. Now that they are in a rage, we can't help them even if we go up. Don't worry, no matter how angry they are, they won't dare to make a move on Ning Qi. Furthermore, how can they be Ning Qi's opponent? They can only vent their anger like this. After saying that, he looked at Tai Bing and the others who were not far away. These few guys who had an extremely high reputation among the outer sect disciples obviously did not intend to interfere in this matter. On Duan Ingjuan's side, he had already reached a white-hot state with the crowd. His mouth was like a machine gun, cursing the families of these hundreds of people, from cousin to grandmother. Of course, he didn't dare to curse his great-grandmother. Who knew if there would be such old monsters in their family? He didn't want to say the wrong thing and get himself killed. However, no matter how strong one mouth was, how could it be a match for hundreds of mouths? F*CK. Boss, what's the matter? Let me curse this group of stinking idiots to death. Duan Ingjun felt Ning Qi pat his shoulder and turned his head to ask. After staying with Ning Qi for a long time, he occasionally learned a few vulgarities from Earth, and now he could use them flexibly. Ning Qi said indifferently, "No need to curse." Duan Angjun felt a little strange. Could it be that Ning Qi was planning to let it go just like that? He's afraid. Everyone, curse these two fellows to death. Scolding them is letting them off too lightly. Beat them up. Lei Yong, who was in the crowd, popped his head out and shouted. Ning Qi's eyes instantly locked onto Lei Yong. At the same time, the Dragon Slayer saber appeared in his hand. He fiercely slashed at Lei Yong, and a terrifying wave of qi rushed forward. Everyone was startled, and soon after, they heard Lei Yong scream. "My hand! My hand!" The people standing beside Lei Yong immediately scattered, and looked at Lei Yong rolling on the ground in shock. His arm was actually cut off from the shoulder by Ning Qi. Ning Qi had long noticed a few typical people. Every time they scolded, they would provoke the emotions of the crowd. Among them, Lei Yong was the most typical, vicious. So after confirming Lei Yong's position, he did not hesitate to stab him. Sky Edge Bright Moonblade. So close yet worlds apart. You actually dare to be so ruthless to a sect disciple? Someone looked at Ning Qi in horror, his face full of disbelief. Could it be that he had gone mad? Ning Qi did not say a word and slashed a few more times. My hand is also cut off. He's crazy. Let's go together and kill him. The elders will not blame us. In an instant, countless outer sect disciples frantically attacked Ning Qi. From cursing to fighting, it only took an instant. Situ Yi was instantly stunned. He never would have thought that Ning Qi would really dare to violate the sect rules. If he had known earlier, he would have stepped forward and said a few words. Now the situation was serious. Situ Yi felt a little regretful. Tai Bing, what should we do? We can't interfere in this matter now. Go and call the deacon elders over. And let Elder Wu Hu and Elder Xiaobing come here. They have a good relationship with Ning Qi and can stop him. Tai Bing said with a solemn expression. Just as they were talking, more than a dozen arms flew into the air. Yes. Someone immediately left in a hurry. Because of the incident with the Crimson Golden Dragon, the deacon elders were now gathered in the steward's hall to discuss the follow-up resources for cultivation. Otherwise, things would not have developed to this point. 10 minutes later, there was no one in front of Ning Qi. All the outer sect disciples stood in the distance in horror, not daring to go forward. Hand-chopping demon, someone muttered to himself. Chapter 4:18. The Jade Tablet unleashes its might. Are you crazy? Someone pointed at Ning Qi, trembling. The elder will not let you off. Although an arm could be reattached, Ning Qi had chopped off hundreds of people's arms at the same time. This was shocking news to the Cloud Rising sect. Is that so? I didn't see Elder Nu Tao do anything to me? Ning Qi smiled faintly. That's right. Wasn't he taken to see Elder Nu by the deacon elder? Why is he back? Everyone was puzzled when they heard this. At this moment, a few rays of light came from the sky. Wu Hu, Xia Bing, Si Malin, and the other deacon elders appeared in front of everyone. Seeing this, Lei Yong wailed, Deacon elder, Ning Qi has gone mad. He actually dared to attack us. Quick, capture him. Wu Hu was shocked when he saw the hundreds of arms on the ground. He looked at Ning Qi and asked, You did all this? Yes. Ning Qi did not hide anything and nodded indifferently. At this moment, a deacon elder who did not know the relationship between Ning Qi and Meng Qingling frowned and looked at Ning Qi. His eyes flashed with killing intent. You are Shint Yuanba's disciple, Ning Qi? That's me. Ning Qi looked at him. How dare you? Your master has just brought disaster to the sect, and now you're doing such a thing. Follow me to the torture chamber to be punished. The other party said coldly. Hee, why don't you ask why I chopped off their arms? Ning Qi sneered and pointed at the ruins behind him. Ask them who destroyed this courtyard. Wu Hu and the rest had already noticed this. They thought that the battle had destroyed the courtyard, so they did not take it to heart. But after hearing Ning Qi's words, it seemed like there was a misunderstanding. Elder Lindeng, we were the ones who destroyed the courtyard, but so what if we destroyed it? Shintu Yuanba made us outer sect disciples not have enough cultivation resources for at least 3 to 4 years. Just destroying the courtyard is already letting him off lightly. But Ning Qi chopped off the arms of hundreds of us. This is a violation of the sect rules. He must be severely punished. An outer sect disciple admitted straightforwardly. However, he immediately pointed the spearhead at Ning Qi. The meaning behind his words was that they had destroyed the courtyard, and Ning Qi had chopped off their arms. This was treason. Lin Deng sneered and looked at Ning Qi with a frown. Because of a courtyard, you would do such a vicious thing to your fellow disciples. What did your master teach you? Oh, I don't think he can teach anything good either. Otherwise, why would he be so ignorant of his own abilities to cause trouble at the Redbud Dragon tribe and even bring disaster to the sect? Let the sect clean up after him? Like teacher, like disciple. What else do you have to say? This. Wu Hu opened his mouth. He originally wanted to remind Lin Deng that with the relationship between Ning Qi and Meng Qingling, even Nu Tao couldn't do anything to Ning Qi. However, Lin Deng didn't give him a chance to speak. Elder Wu Hu, I know that you have a good relationship with Shintu Yuanba. Previously, this guy was originally under your sect, but he was bought by Shintu Yuanba for 100 middle spiritual crystals. However, you don't have to say anything now. Wrong is wrong. Let's not talk about his master's fault. Just based on his actions today, crippling his cultivation is not too much. Lin Deng interrupted Wu Hu's words and said coldly. He was a 7-star dozong, and his cultivation was higher than Shintu Yuanba's. Seeing this, Wu Hu could only rub his nose awkwardly and shut his mouth. That's great. If this guy's cultivation is crippled, then my arm would be worth it. Ha ha, that's what you get for being arrogant. Even your master doesn't dare to be so arrogant in front of Elder Lin Deng. When his cultivation is crippled, I must find a chance to catch him and torture him. Lei Yong looked at Ning Qi and was extremely excited. Xia Bing had been watching the development of the situation calmly. When Lin Deng said that Ning Qi's cultivation was going to be crippled, she said, "It's just a broken arm. Just reattach it. It's not a matter of life and death. It's not to the extent of crippling his cultivation." Xia Bing, what do you mean? Lin Deng looked at Xia Bing coldly. Xia Bing looked at him fearlessly and said, "I'm just stating the facts. This, I think it's better to let the disciplinary hall Elder Qingyi decide." Si Malin suddenly said, "There's no need." Seeing that Wu Hu and Xia Bing seemed to want to protect Ning Qi and embarrass him, Lin Deng's lips curled into a sinister smile. In a flash, he appeared in front of Ning Qi and ruthlessly struck at Ning Qi's dantian. If this strike landed, not only would Ning Qi's cultivation be crippled, he might not even be able to keep his life. "Boss. Brother Ning. Haha, he's doomed." Seeing this scene, everyone had different expressions on their faces. Some were gloating, some were frowning, and some were anxious. Those outer sect disciples whose arms were chopped off by Ning Qi were not only gloating, but their eyes were also filled with hatred. They believed that Lei Yong was definitely not the only one who wanted to settle the score with them. If Ning Qi didn't die and became a cripple, he would die in the hands of one of them. Suddenly, a violent, terrifying, and unfathomable aura was emitted from Ning Qi's body. Lin Deng's face was filled with horror. He hurriedly stopped his cultivation and retreated dozens of steps, looking at Ning Qi in bewilderment. What technique was this? Why did he feel like he had stepped into hell? Not only him, but Wu Hu and the other deacon elders were also very shocked. They stared at Ning Qi with their mouths agape. There was no need to mention the outer sect disciples. When Ning Qi's body emitted such a terrifying aura, some of them directly fainted. The rest of them also felt their bladder contracting, and they almost peed on their pants. It was too terrifying. How could this aura be so terrifying? At this moment, Ning Qi raised a jade tablet high, looked at Lin Deng and said, "Elder Lin, do you recognize this?" When Lin Deng heard this, he stared intently at the jade token for a full 3 breaths. His expression began to change, from bewilderment to surprise, then shock and then fear. Finally, when he looked at Ning Qi, his eyes turned into fear. Lin Deng asked in a low voice, "Central jade token?" "Central jade tablet." A jade tablet that could allow one to enter the central area of the Cloud Rising sect. This was a treasure that only the legendary true disciples possessed. Every true disciple of the Cloud Rising sect had an unfathomable cultivation base. Some of them had even lived longer than green-clothed elders like Nu Tao. If they did not strive to break through to the Doshing class and become lamp-bearers, the top 10 green-clothed elders would all be replaced. Chapter 419. Half-Dragon Race. How could Ning Qi have such a thing? Everyone was shocked. Lei Yong's mouth was wider than a fist, and he did not even notice the drool dripping from the corner of his mouth. After the shock, there was an inexplicable fear. As expected, Wu Hu and the other deacon elders looked at each other, confirming their guess of Meng Qingling's identity. However, why would Meng Qingling give Ning Qi a central jade token? Could it be that she had taken a fancy to Ning Qi and wanted to take him in as a legacy disciple? How regretful! How could I give away a disciple that even the lamp-holder elder is interested in just for 100 middle spiritual crystals? Wu Hu was filled with regret. Si Malin's eyes also showed a trace of regret. If he had fought for it, Shintu Yuanba might not have used his status to snatch the disciple. As for Wu Hu, he had a way to make him compromise. But now it was all too late. Central jade token? What is that? Why are the expressions of these deacon elders so strange? Duan Ingjun, who had been shaken into the ruins by the aura of the jade token, crawled out and looked curiously at the central jade token in Ning Qi's hand. "Oh, it's good that you recognize it. Do you still want to take me to the torture hall to question me?" Central jade token? So it was called that. Ning Qi was slightly stunned, but on the surface, he looked at Lin Deng indifferently. Suddenly, Ning Qi's body exuded an unfathomable aura, making Lin Deng's heart heavy. He smiled bitterly and cupped his hands towards Ning Qi. "I do not have the right to punish someone who has the central jade token. Please forgive me if I have offended you." Ning Qi nodded and no longer paid attention to Lin Deng. Instead, he looked at the group of outer sect disciples. Some of them still had their arms cut off. Ning Qi sneered and said, "I've said it before. Either you cut off a finger or I'll cut off your arm. I will give you 3 breaths of time." At this moment, they were stunned by the sudden turn of events. It was not until the second breath that they finally reacted, and in front of Ning Qi, they fiercely broke their fingers. Of course, some of them broke their pinkies, while others were so scared that they broke their thumbs. For a moment, painful groans rang out. Then, they looked at Ning Qi blankly, waiting for his next punishment. Those outer sect disciples who did not participate in this matter were rejoicing in their hearts, secretly praising themselves for being smart. Although they were also dissatisfied with Shintu Yuanba, it was because they had more or less nodded and talked to Ning Qi before, so they did not harden their hearts to humiliate Ning Qi together with the others. The current result showed that their choice was very correct. Tai Bing and the others looked at each other and saw the joy in each other's eyes. "I'll give you 1 day. I want this place to return to its original state," Ning Qi said coldly. "Yes." Originally, they thought that Ning Qi would give them some humiliating punishment. They didn't expect that Ning Qi would only ask them to repair their houses. The man with the severed arm picked up his arm from the pile of arms on the ground. After performing emergency treatment, he began to work with the men with severed fingers to repair the courtyard. Elder Wu Hu, Elder Xiaobing, I still have some matters to attend to. I'll take my leave first. Ning Qi said. All right, go ahead. We'll keep an eye on things here for you. Wu Hu and Xiaobing nodded. Boss, where are you going? I'll go too. Duan Yingjun hurriedly said. I have something to attend to. I can't bring you this time. Ning Qi smiled and patted Duan Yingjun's shoulder. He glanced at Duan Feifei and whispered to him, Your relationship with Feifei has grown so much during this period of time. You're willing to go out with me? Why don't you put in more effort and take her down? Hee, what boss said makes sense. Duan Yingjun glanced at Duan Feifei, then lowered his head and giggled happily. Ning Qi glanced at Lin Deng again. Lin Deng felt guilty and did not dare to look at him. He looked away. Then, Ning Qi broke through the air and left the outer sect. After Ning Qi disappeared from their sight, a deacon elder said in shock, Was that really the central jade token? How terrifying! Just this aura alone made me feel suffocated. Elder Zhangding's spirit was in it? When a Do Zun broke through to the Do Xing realm, he had to go through a checkpoint. It was similar to when a Do Huang broke through to the Do Zong realm. That was the Forging Spirit checkpoint. This checkpoint was not as clear as the 9 life and death checkpoints. Only one could judge the extent to which the spirit had been trained. Only when it reached a certain level would one have the chance to break through to the Do Xing realm. Many peak Do Zuns were stuck at this checkpoint. Due to their lack of talent, their spirit could not be strengthened. For this reason, there were many medicinal pills that could forge the spirit that were sold very well. It is indeed the central jade token. I have seen it once. Another deacon elder said. Lin Deng's expression was very ugly. He glanced at Wu Hu indifferently. Who exactly is behind this boy? He seems to have a good relationship with Elder Meng. Xia Bing said faintly. You know but you didn't tell me? Are you purposely making fun of me? Lin Deng shouted sternly. Wu Hu laughed dryly. Didn't I want to tell you just now? In the end, you interrupted me. Lin Deng felt as though he had eaten a mouthful of dog shit when he heard that. He had no place to vent his bitterness. All he could do was wave his sleeves and leave. His voice came from afar, continue to discuss the issue of resources. Yes. The group of deacon elders hurriedly followed. Wu Hu and Xia Bing specially instructed the group of outer sect disciples to repair the courtyard as it was before they hurried in the direction that Lin Deng had left. As there were only a few days left before the Withering Bones Forbidden Land opened, Ning Qi did not go far. He searched for demonic beasts with the bloodline of the Dragon Tribe or the Dragon Tribe in the mountains near the Cloud Rising sect to earn some Dragon Slayer coins. After all, he did not know how dangerous the Withering Bones Forbidden Land was. He wanted to save some Dragon Slayer coins so that he could have a backup plan if anything happened. Xiao Jin, it's up to you now. Sniff hard. Ning Qi released Xiao Jin and fed it a few spiritual nourishing pills. Xiao Jin chirped happily and began to use its innate ability, smelling poop. After 5 minutes, it pointed to the north with its little finger. Ning Qi smiled and released Xiao Zi. Then, it turned into a bolt of purple lightning and flew in the direction that Xiao Jin pointed. After flying for about 1,000 miles, Ning Qi noticed a group of people not far away. They were running in a sorry state. Behind them, there was a muscular 10-foot-tall giant chasing them. Half-Dragon, Jingyun. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.